Thank you so much.
Well, thanks. Bye.
100
Joshua and Brandon, of Kay, Sam, and our CEO, Joey Leal. Today is the first operational reflight of the Starship program, with Booster 14 flying for the second time. Ship 35, the third Block 2 ship, will be flying on top. Booster 14 has had a flawless record. It flew once on Flight 7 with Ship 33, was caught, and is now ready for a... On the other hand, Ship 35 is ready to fly for the first time after 2 static fires. Today, Booster 14 won't be caught. It will be conducting a boost backburn, but will land intentionally in the ocean, testing the limits for all future boosters. On the side of the ship, the goals have been the same as the last 2 flights. Fly, get to Seco, deploy Starlinks, and finally, land. We're always dedicated to spectacular views, and the last flight provided the beauty we know for the Starship program. Ship 34 and Booster 15 provided a dazzling spectacle from launch to catch to explosion. On today's flight, we're going to provide you the same beautiful views, just like the ones that we captured on Flight 8. Oh, there we go, ladies and gents. Welcome to the stream.
Let's see. All right. Well,
there we go. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad that you all were able to enjoy and endure that canned audio as our intro. However, today we are, of course, at Flight 9. Flight 9 is, of course, the name, the 9th flight in the Starship program, but more crucially, it is testing a variety of things that have been failing on the previous flights in the Starship program. Today we're seeing, again, a couple new things. We're seeing Booster 14 refly. Booster 14 previously flew with Ship 33, and of course, as we all know how that went, we are hoping for a non-doomed booster to continue the progress Starship forward. If this flight is successful in landing, it's likely that we will see that's been a thing. That's been a desired thing for a while.
Yeah.
Miranda, what are we going to be looking like after this whole deal if it goes off successfully?
If this flight is really kind of a critical point for SpaceX in the sense that the last 2 flights have failed, and the last 2 flights have both been testing a new block, a new version of ship. So if this flight succeeds, it kind of opens the doors for them to finally start moving forward in the program. Rather than having to refly previous test objectives that did not succeed. So if S-35 fails, that means they can move on to S-36. Like Perigi said, it's possible that they'll go for orbit next time. But it really just opens those doors, and we can finally start moving forward instead of just redoing the same thing over and over again. As I believe we've been mentioning, if you've been paying attention to our socials, this is a bit of a special flight for all of us.
Of course. But we'll keep that for a little bit later.
Okay.
We are looking at the full stack. We're looking at Ship 35 and Booster 14 as they are on the pad. Currently, we are about an hour or so from flight. Yes, we're about 57 minutes away from flight today. We're looking at the booster going into tanking, and we will likely see the ship begin tanking soon.
Yep, you can see that venting gas right there, which is definitely a precursor to loading of a fuel and oxidizer. Looks like we've got... Looks like we're a little slow on the frame rate there, but we are working as hard as we can to get you the best views we can. And, like we keep saying, these views are definitely going to be not a little biased, but I think these are going to be the best views to come out of the Starship program thus far. I think you're all going to be very, very happy with what we come out with.
Agreed. Well, so let's go into the booster ditch a bit today. That one's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, that's going to be a little bittersweet. It's like Perigi said, this is going to be the first reflight of a booster. Booster 14 flew on Flight 7, and while Ship 33 did not perform particularly well, Booster 14 did beautifully. Booster 14 was the second booster to be caught by the tower, and 29 of the engines that are flying today are actually previously flown Raptors. So the vast majority of those 33 engines are being reused. The kind of unfortunate thing is that those all of those Raptors and the entire booster are going to be chucked into the Gulf tonight. And that is because today they're flying a little bit of a special flight profile on that booster. So they're going to be trying, it's called a contingency abort, basically. So they're intentionally shutting down one of the center Raptors that would normally be used for that catch burn at the end. Um, and that's basically simulating like, hey, if we lose one of these three center engines, which are fairly critical, can we start up one of those middle rung engines instead and use that as a last case scenario? And since that's kind of an experimental profile, because they've already proven out the catch 3 times now, but with an engine out, that hasn't been something they've tried before. So in order to not risk that tower, they're going to be using an abort mode similar to what we saw on Booster 11, where the booster is going to splash down about 30 kilometers off the shore. And so if all goes well on that test, the engines will cut out a couple 100 feet above the water, and the booster will fall into that gulf. So yeah, very good.
Yeah. I've also heard additional speculation that there will be some attempt to like test the duration, the range of the booster, because it's never flown a completely expendable profile before. SpaceX doesn't know exactly how far the booster can get. It doesn't know the exact cross range, which is how far it can glide down to from range, just to get to the tower. And of course,
Right.
when you're operating a dynamic vehicle as SpaceX is,
Mhm.
the conditions of the booster won't be the same every single time. And testing some range is, of course, very valuable there. Just to know the exact limits for you to plan out how to use your energy most efficiently. That's, of course, necessary for future upgrades, etc.
Yep. And the side goal of that is they want to be able to test how little propellant they can leave in the booster. Much like how the Falcon 9 reuse program has gone, they started out fairly conservative. They're leaving a lot of propellant in those tanks. Say like, hey, we might burn through all of this, we might not. But as they get flight experience and as they do these more involved tests, they want to see just how empty they can run those tanks. Because every ton, every kilogram of propellant they burn is another kilogram that propels that booster and that ship further up. We can get better performance out of it that way. So yeah.
All right. Well, it should be noted that, of course, we aren't the only people who you're going to get to look at during this stream.
Yeah.
So we, of course, have a couple other people involved with the stream, which, of course, you've no doubt heard about on our social media. But, of course, we're not the only ones. Now, I believe we do have a correspondent out in Starbase, Mr. Joshua Anti-Person, you handsome devil. Could we cue him up to get him into the stream next, please? Ah, yes, there we go. Hello, Mr. Anti-Person. How are you doing today?
Perigi. I'm doing so good. Are you kidding me? I'm doing so good.
Awesome. Awesome. Now,
I
let's
am out here. Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
no, go. Oh, good. Oh, good. No, speak, Josh. Speak your
Of
truth.
course. Well, welcome to Rocket Ranch, just outside of Starbase, Texas. We are a few miles away from the launch site. As you can see behind me, we have a vehicle that is currently venting all sorts of gas, like any human would. So, I don't know. Guys, I'm just excited to be here.
I'm glad. I'm
Oh,
glad you're
man.
excited to be here, Josh.
Yeah.
So, well, I think that answers pretty much for the audience how you're doing. I know you're a little pumped or jazzed, having some fun here. So,
Oh, yeah.
what part of these flights are you looking forward to the most? You look for the launch, the giant crater in the ocean that's going to be coming.
Oh, well, that would be
You
nice.
mean the booster?
Funny enough, Okay, so wait, quick tangent. This is actually my first launch ever. Like, I have never been to a rocket launch before, and this is my first, like, ever in my life. I've
Never?
only seen things on video. Yeah, ever.
That's gonna
This is
spoil
my.
you.
This is gonna be my first. Yeah. Which is crazy because
Yeah.
I helped IGW set up cameras all over the Bahamas and get everything set up and ready for this stream, and still is a video we're about to take. But to answer your question, I'm probably for ship's RUD. That's my favorite part. That's
boo, boo,
We got party pooper.
boo.
I know.
I think all of us today are hoping for a successful flight. But
what can I say? I love a little chaos.
Was that another voice I heard in the background there?
Was it? Who knows?
I believe that is our so far ghost commentator Mav.
Yeah. Hello. I'm here in the background for now, letting y'all do your predominant talking.
Right.
I've been on stream before, but hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I can't say already how much of very much a multinational, multi-team endeavor this has been. We have people across the globe working on this, so like I said, you guys are going to get a great show tonight.
Yeah. We have quite a few locations here tonight. We have, of course, our commentators out in Texas. However, of course, we also have our other team that you might have heard a little bit about. It's a little thing called Project Skyfall that we've been working on for quite a while.
This has been a several month endeavor.
You
can see it right there. If it looks like they're on a deserted island, that's because they are.
Yeah, we sent them to the middle of the Bahamas. More accurately, they sent themselves, frankly. Okay. We sent them, of course, to a deserted island in the Bahamas, where they will be now attempting to capture the flight path of Starship Flight 9, of course, for fun and profit. We will be watching the ship as it progresses over our heads. Now, people have had quite a few things to say about Skyfall, and I think just for everyone on stream, we should clear them up a bit. Project Skyfall is, of course, as we've mentioned, a multinational effort. It's not just Raccoon Cay in the Bahamas, it's also in Florida. But, of course, this involves multiple members of our team, doesn't it? The space engineers in Florida, Kay, Sam, and our very own Joey Leal are in the Bahamas. They're setting up our cameras. In the case of the Bahamas team, they're surviving the elements. Of course, Joey Leal, I think, has come to regret his decision to survive the elements a little bit.
If you saw our little hype video that we dropped on Twitter a little while ago, Joey is very much questioning his choices that led him to this point in life.
But of course, we hope he still keeps making those choices, because where would we be without this excellent content?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Raccoon Cay is right in that flight path. So, regardless of the outcome, if we get a ship ride, we'll see some beautiful confetti. But if we get a successful flight, we will get beautiful views of S-35 passing directly overhead. So either way, everybody wins, and we are right in the thick of things. Yeah,
exactly. Because of the position of the island, the ship will be right at Seco. It will be passing right over their heads. And the unique opportunity that this provides is just they won't just see it if it fails. They'll also see it right at Seco. And you might be wondering what's interesting at Seco. I don't think it's ever been captured before, certainly not at the resolution we're capturing it at.
Yeah.
The sudden cutoff of the engines and the venting of gas that comes immediately after.
Yep.
That's it's quite a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this beautiful phenomena. The ship will just start sending tons and tons of, like, I think it's methane and oxygen and maybe some CO2 water as well, out of the propellant tanks, just getting them settled for flight pressures. And then it just creates this beautiful big cloud behind the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, That's something that's going to be very interesting. So you'll be able to see that here, and more critically, you'll be able to see it live. As you've seen, we have live cameras at Texas, we have them in Florida, and we have them in the Bahamas. Those cameras that you'll see now, that feature, of course, the people on the Bahamas, our very own team, being little goofballs, as we'd like to call them, will also be showing that live.
Yeah. There they are on the screen right there. Yep. Giving a little wave. We love you guys too. You guys are toughing it out for us. So thanks very much.
They're doing great.
Not sure if we had their mics. It'd be cool to be able to see what they're saying. But yeah. All right.
Okay.
So we are. It looks like about T-minus 45 minutes roughly. So we should be getting into fueling very shortly. Let me pull up. You'd think we'd be better prepared for this, but let me pull up SpaceX.com/launches, the great resource that it is. Let's get that flight profile up for you guys.
We will be getting ready soon.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah. So
well,
we are.
Hold on. In the meanwhile, our very lovely Emlyn has provided a quote-unquote hype reel for us, and of course, I'm sure as the consumers of hype moments and aura that our audience surely is, we would love to play that now for you.
All right.
I don't know why we're doing this right now.
Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot. Wait, hold up.
That was cool. That was cool. That was very cool.
Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play the same.
Moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing, keep it moving, what we doing.
Alrighty, well, as you no doubt heard and saw there, Starship and Skyfall, both incredible events to be hyped for. The Bahamas team is, of course, still continuing to goof off. In the meantime, however, we might as well discuss a little bit more about Skyfall, and particularly our integration with something new. Can you take a guess about what I'm talking about, Miss Miranda?
We've been hyping up for a while, but has been long delayed, much like a certain video game.
The merch store.
Yeah.
It's live.
Yeah.
It's finally live. After so long,
Yeah.
I've finally been used for what I've been hired for, which is my expertise running the merch store. And the merch store is now live. You can find it at shop.igw.llc if you're a fan of shorter links, and shop.interstellargateway.com if you're a fan of longer links. Of course, you could go to our Twitter and click the link in our bio. Click link in bio, of course. And you can make a purchase of equipment there. We have a couple shirts going up for sale. We have one for Raptor 3, we have one for Skyfall, and we have one that is a tribute to the sacrifice that Ship 33 and 34 made to the development of this program, and very, very hopefully we'll make sure that that same fate is never repeated.
Yeah. We also have a wonderful patch design for Flight 6, which was a couple flights ago, but some of you may remember that SpaceX, in their infinite wisdom, made the Flight 6 patch in the shape of a banana, whereas all of their previous patches and all of the ones since have been hexagonal. So if you were looking to create a patch collection, that Flight 6 patch didn't really look a little out of place. So our wonderful space engineer, who does have a wall of patches, of course, him being the absolute master of pretty much everything that he is, decided, fine, I'll do it myself. and made his own patch that is the same size and shape as every other patch made by SpaceX.
Exactly.
So you can grab that now if you wanted to spice up your wall.
Mm-hmm. It fits right in, and when we say right in, we mean right in.
Yeah.
It will be like the whole banana company never intervened in the flight.
Yeah.
And perhaps perhaps that would be a happy memory for you. Perhaps it isn't.
Yeah.
Perhaps you really don't like bananas. Perhaps you really like them. Of course, that's something for you to decide yourselves. Again, we spent quite a bit getting out here, and of course, we're not looking to make this all about us. But if you would like to financially contribute to the the coffers of Interstellar Gateway, so to say, we would greatly appreciate it. And of course, it allows us to provide you something in return as well. Now, I believe we've been preparing. Oh, Mr. Anti-Person, he's got something to say.
Shop.interstellargateway.com, and there's this handsome fella in the photos.
Oh,
Who's that guy?
That's me.
I wonder
That's me.
who that might be.
I'm the model.
Do you
of the
know
photo.
it? Does he look familiar, perhaps,
He
Joshua?
might look familiar. In fact, that is me.
Whoa! Yeah, modeled
Yeah.
by our very own Joshua Anti-Person out here in Texas.
Exactly. I can confirm single-handedly the merch is worth it. It's good quality and a good print.
Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Joshua. That really means everything to us out here in Raleigh, North Carolina, who are not suffering from, of course, all the heat and death that you are in right now.
Yeah.
I
must say,
I don't know if you can see the sweat particles on my forehead, but it's hot as hell, guys.
Yeah. I must say, we've been working through these technical issues, but we have nothing on the guys out in the Bahamas, out at Starbase, and TSC out at Florida. You guys are really running the show, so thank you for suffering to bring us these great views.
Yes. Thank you guys very much. Well, Mr. Joshua Anti-Person, if of course you're still here, why not just ask you about, some of the other things of your experience down here? What have you been doing down here to help support operations? How have you been what's your experience with that been like?
So mostly what I've been doing is helping Brandon out, just doing little tasks. There's a tiny little joke that we told maybe a few months ago now that I'm the taskmaster of Interstellar Gateway, which is a little insulting. Brandon's giving me a thumbs down. It's a little insulting because it's like, okay, spoiler alert for Thunderbolts, okay? Mute the stream for 5 seconds if you haven't seen the movie Thunderbolts. Taskmaster dies, guys. Like, not even a minute of screen time.
Oh,
Holy
my
shit.
God.
They're calling me Taskmaster? Anyway, it's been fun down here in Texas. It's been a lot of going to and from the Airbnb to Starbase, setting up cameras, taking stills, and really just enjoying the heat. But also the views, because as you can see behind me, can't beat that view.
Well, hopefully you do not meet the same fate as in that movie.
He's standing a bit too close to the launch pad. Oh, no.
Yeah, I know we do have liability insurance at IGW, but I prefer to not have to use it.
Exactly. Please, let's keep our premiums normal, shall we?
Oh, yeah.
I'd like that.
Yeah. Apparently, I've heard from a little birdie that SpaceX's stream will be starting shortly. But don't go anywhere because, of course, we still have live views. And, of course, you really want to see that ship going through Seco. I think everyone else here does. Because, even if something happens, you'll see it here first.
Yeah. I think we're very honored to, hopefully, fingers crossed, be the ones to provide you that view. Because as far as I know, and as far as we know, SpaceX does not actually have any tracking assets out there themselves. So, God willing, we will be able to get you the only views of that ship going through Seco.
Yeah.
One way or another, those engines are going to cut off, and we hope for it to be the better of the two possible outcomes. But either way, you'll see it, we'll see it.
Exactly. We'll all see it.
Yeah, it'll be a great time.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so we've just got a couple more minutes here until the SpaceX webcast goes live.
Yes.
And,
We are at about T-minus 36 minutes right now, so
see
we
if it-
should be entering. Where do you say we're about?
Yeah,
Around-
so we're just under a minute out from booster LOX load proceeding. So we're definitely well into pre-chill. There's probably LOX, liquid oxygen creeping up those propellant lines as we speak. Out at Starbase, that booster holds, let's see, 3,400 times 0.78. That booster holds something in the neighborhood of 2,600 tons of liquid oxygen, which is an incomprehensible number. For some of you in America, as we all are, because a big number better, that is just about 5.8 million pounds of liquid oxygen, which is simply a mind-boggling number. It's just one of those numbers that's so big you can't fathom it. Again, Joshua is one hell of a lucky guy to get to see the largest rocket in human history for his first ever launch.
I believe
I'm
it has
jealous.
somewhere around 2 times the thrust of the Saturn V.
Yeah, something around that. Let's see, 230 times 2,200 times 33. 16.6 divided by 7.8. Yeah, just over 2 times the thrust of a Saturn V, which is an insane number to think about.
And you know what's even luckier than that? It being his first launch. For context, for my birthday, I believe, I wanted to go see a Falcon Heavy with my family. And here's the thing about Falcon Heavies.
It does not like to launch.
Yeah, it doesn't like to launch. They really, really like to scrub.
Yeah.
And because of that fact, instead of that, we waited for 3 days for the launch. And then my mother and my brother left because it still hadn't launched. It had scrubbed the first attempt.
Right.
So then they said, oh, we'll just leave you here. And we waited another 3 days. And then it didn't launch again.
Yeah.
And then they rolled the thing back inside the hangar. And then the first launch that I ever got to see in person was a Starlink that landed downrange. It still put the fear of God to me, listening to that thing launch. But, of course, it was a Starlink.
Yeah. I've had the pleasure to see 3 launches in my life, none nearly as exciting as tonight's. So, Joshua, you're a lucky guy. And I would love to let y'all know that we do actually have a live SpaceX stream here. So, like we mentioned, we of course still have our own views, so no need to go anywhere. But we will probably cut between our views and the SpaceX stream shortly-ish. Right now, they are just doing a pretty drone shot of the vehicle as it is fueling. So we're past that booster LOX load point. So the next major thing that we're going to see in the countdown is at T-minus 19 minutes and 40 seconds, where Raptor engine chill is going to begin. So yeah, we've got a little bit of time to just hang out here and all right.
Yeah, I just wanted to cut back to what you're saying about having witnessed rocket launches in person. You're all doing better than me in having the honor of having one in person. I am yet to.
The capabilities of that heat shield, the flaps, the structure, everything about it. Primary payload on this flight, once again, as always,
I believe we are going to begin cutting the SpaceX webcast here. So we will be quiet and allow you to listen to the lovely dulcet tones of the SpaceX commentators.
Excitement is guaranteed.
Yeah, that's right. Progress is not measured by single flight tests. It's whatever that timeline overall is, and getting us closer to establishing self-sustaining civilization on Mars, making life multiplanetary. Every time we're learning something from these flights that will get us there, that is progress.
Exactly. Starship is the first orbital launch vehicle engineered to be fully reusable and built for frequent flight and heavy payloads, just like today's commercial airliners.
It's the product of years of rapid development, testing, iteration. We're trying to fly as frequently as possible, fix problems as they appear, and then fly again. It all started here at Starbase back with Starhopper. It was a small single Raptor prototype kind of looked like a water tower. We turned it into a water tower eventually. It made its first low altitude hop back in 2019 here at Starbase. You could tell the pad, that's the pad that we were just looking at. It looks dramatically different now, 2 towers. But Starhopper delivered. It was able to prove that we could use that Raptor engine for controlled takeoff and landing.
And that is so wild to see that there on your screen was just 6 years ago, and now we're here today with a full-size vehicle. So from there, we moved to full-size test articles with increasingly complex test flights that reached progressively higher altitudes. And each test shaped the Starship that we see today on the pad, a stronger, taller, and more refined vehicle.
That's right. All right. Now, let's go out there and meet it. Starship is made up of 2 parts. First, on the bottom, the Super Heavy booster, powered by 33 Raptor engines. Both Super Heavy and Ship are running on liquid methane and liquid oxygen. That second stage, the Starship upper stage, is powered by 6 of those Raptor engines. 3 of them are optimized to sea level performance, 3 for vacuum, so operating while they're in space. And here's a quick look under the hood at all of those Raptors. On the left, that's a view from underneath the launch mount. That's 33 Raptor engines on the first stage, on the booster. And on the right, that's a view inside of the ship. So you're looking down at the top of the booster at 6 Raptor engines inside the ship. Those are what's going to power it to orbit. Now, that second stage is also what will one day carry cargo, payloads, people, everything that's going to space. It's also going to be responsible for in-space propellant transfer. That's where we're going to take 2 Starships, meet them up in orbit. One will be able to transfer propellant to the other. That's a really critical capability for Starship to do all of these missions beyond low Earth orbit. That also unlocks our ability to send huge amounts of cargo, tremendous amounts of people to destinations far beyond Earth.
Yeah, the Super Heavy booster is designed to launch, separate, flip, and return to the launch site where it can be caught by the chopsticks on the launch tower. Though, as we mentioned earlier, we are not attempting a booster catch today on Flight 9. Starship re-enters the Earth's atmosphere at the conclusion of its mission, steering itself to a vertical landing or catch. And both stages are designed to return to Earth and fly again, making this the first rocket in history that will be fully reusable.
And then just in between the 2 vehicles is what's known as the hot stage ring. That's a steel structure that really takes the brunt of those ship engines as they ignite, protecting the booster while the ship's still attached to it. That enables us to do hot staging. It's faster, more efficient, kind of shutting everything down and then reigniting. Right now, that hot stage it's single use. It detaches from the booster as it flies back, but in the future, it's going to be integrated right into the top. And then on top of all of that, there's all of the infrastructure that's built up around it to support Starship. We call it Stage 0. That's everything, the launch pads, the propellant farm, launch towers, chopsticks that are catching the booster out of the air, stacking the ship, all of that. And you may have noticed we have a new addition out there near the pad. The orbital launch mount for Pad 2 has officially been installed. That's starting to come together. Just like Pad 1, Pad 2 has a launch mount. That's where you're going to put Super Heavy on top. We also have a launch tower with arms, a little bit shorter on that one. That's going to be used to stack the Starship on top, put the booster on top, catch the booster, catch the Starship. We did put the orbital launch mount on there. That's responsible for routing all of the propellant to the booster ahead of flight. Underneath it, you've got flame deflectors, the water deluge system to just disperse all of those forces. The single piece we just lifted in weighs about 1,060 metric tons, which, if you're keeping score at home, that's the same weight as about 10 Millennium Falcons. It's heavy.
That's a lot of Millennium Falcons,
so
Dan.
Many.
We're also currently in work on Starship's brand new pad at Kennedy Space Center's Launch Complex 39A, and we're hoping to bring that online later this year as well. Tons of progress with Starship so far in 2025, and lots of incredible milestones still coming up. And we are still on track to lift off tonight at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. And right now, it's time to say hi to Chris, who's over there repping the West Coast Ops today. How's it going, Chris?
Hey, Jesse and Dan, and welcome everyone to West Coast and Hawthorne, California. As you can see behind me, the crowd is gathering outside of our mission control room here in Hawthorne, and the excitement is really palpable as we continue to count down toward Starship's 9th flight test. Now, our mission control room here in Hawthorne usually serves as the mission control room for our Falcon and Dragon missions once they launch from Florida and California. Now, with Starship, all countdown and mission control operations actually use the same flight control team from the same location at Starbase, which you can see on your screen now. But as we develop a vehicle like Starship, we want as many experts watching over its various systems as we can. And that's what we use the Mission Control Room here in Hawthorne for during Starship flight tests like today's. The folks in Mission Control, which you see now on your screen, are the responsible engineers for Starship's various systems. This includes things like booster systems, stage propellant, our ground stations, flight software, the loads, and the vehicle structures as well. And having this support gives the flight teams in Starbase immediate access to our engineers' knowledge, which is really, really important when we're making informed decisions very quickly in a test program like this. This setup has been great for Starship flight tests so far, as we've handled things like propellant temperature differences, as well as day of launch winds that can affect the loads placed on Starship structures during launch, and particularly during the descent of the Super Heavy booster back to Earth. So having all of these responsible engineers ready to support is crucial during Starship testing, where we place hardware in flight conditions quickly to iterate and make the best and most reliable rocket that we can. So it's definitely a full house, a growing full house here in Hawthorne for our 9th flight of Starship today. Every flight brings us a step closer to a future where Starship is flying multiple times a day, and I'm sure you all feel the same way down there in Texas, Dan and Jesse, but I can't wait to see Starship's launch today. How about you?
Yeah, can't wait to see it, Chris. As you can see, props loading on the vehicle is just a little under 2 miles away from us, and we're really excited. Looking back real quick, so back in March, Starship's 8th flight test saw us catch the Super Heavy booster for the 3rd time ever, another big step on that path to full and rapid reusability. Unfortunately, the Starship upper stage did experience what we call a rapid, unscheduled disassembly before it finished its climb to space, which meant we didn't reach all of those additional mission objectives that we had set.
About 5.5 minutes into ship's ascent burn, a hardware failure in one of its sea-level Raptor engines took out that engine, the 2 remaining sea-level engines, and a Raptor vacuum engine. That's 4 of the 6 engines that ship has. This was a different failure than we saw on Flight 7, and the fixes that we put in place did work as expected. So this was a new issue on Flight 8. So welcome to iterative engineering.
That's right. Losing hardware is a potential outcome of any test program. That's why we're always prepared with safety measures in place and also ready to have boots on the ground to assist with anything like debris cleanup. We can coordinate with all the necessary parties, organizations, administrations for safety in advance and in an ongoing basis during our test campaigns to plan for as many possible outcomes. Definitely do want to say thank you, though, to the people of the Bahamas, the government of the Bahamas, who worked with us so closely since Flight 8.
We took full responsibility for the cleanup, and in doing so, we had people on the ground in the Bahamas within 12 hours to help with debris recovery. So all that said, we're moving forward in our development cycle with safety at the top of mind, and we fly again today to get this current iteration of ship to space and back.
That's right. Putting hardware in a flight environment as frequently as possible, so you're seeing how things behave all together in the real world. Then you're solving problems as they pop up. That's how SpaceX developed their very first rocket, Falcon 1. Same philosophy was used to develop Falcon 9.
Today, we're looking to get our first re-entry with the latest iteration of ship, while intentionally stressing the Super Heavy vehicle during its return to get data on its boundaries. And by stressing, we mean that we'll be pushing the flight envelope of Super Heavy as we fly at a higher angle of attack during descent towards the Gulf. Angle of attack in this case means that Super Heavy is pitched up to maximize drag and slow return. Because of this test, we will not be attempting to catch and recover Super Heavy, which again is flying for its 2nd time today. So for a brief moment, this booster will hold the title as the Super Heavy flight leader.
That's right. All right. Lot still ahead for today. Let's get into it real quick with this overview. As always, everything starts with a liftoff. 33 Raptor engines igniting. Super Heavy pushing itself and Starship into ascent over the Gulf. It's going to continue for about 2.5 minutes before we get to hot staging. Ship will ignite its engines. Booster will do its boost back burn and begin its flight experiments back for a hard splashdown in the Gulf of America. Meanwhile, ship continues its burn into space.
And ship will remain suborbital. We will be deploying 8 Starlink simulator satellites and then head towards re-entry. We'll relight a Raptor engine as well as test experiments during re-entry, such as missing tiles, metallic tiles, loading the vehicle's flaps, and then ship will attempt a flip maneuver, and if all goes planned, we'll conclude the test with a soft water splashdown in the Indian Ocean. So that's what we have on the menu for Flight 9 today.
Whole lot.
Flight 8's RUD taught us new lessons about Starship hardware, specifically the Raptor engines. And as we touched on earlier, the root cause was traced to a hardware failure in one of Starship's 3 center Raptor engines.
Yeah, just since that flight, we've done more than 100 long-duration Raptor tests at our facility in McGregor. Huge shout out to that team for really putting in the work to better understand what happened. As a result, the engines that are on Starship's upper stage on the pad right behind us have a few changes. One of the key ones we did was additional preload on some of the joints, essentially some additional torquing, a new nitrogen purge system for the engines themselves, and made some improvements to the propellant drain system.
After our first ever super heavy refurb campaign, we static fired with all 33 Raptor engines. This was a chance to see all the hardware operating together, and for this flight, our teams had an opportunity to make adjustments or hardware replacements for this first ever reflight of the super heavy booster.
And then it was ship's turn. We took it through several static fires. First, we did this short duration single engine burn to simulate an in-space reignition of Raptor using those header tanks, those smaller tanks up in the nose cone. We also completed a longer duration 60-second burn with all 6 engines. So where you're really putting the entire propulsion system that's going to be used for the ship's ascent into space through the paces, making sure everything's working together before we go stack it on the pad.
And in the end, these changes represent the core of our test program. And reflying a booster for the first time is a major milestone, especially so early in the flight test program. Now, Falcon did it in just over 30 flights.
And Starship's doing it today on just its 9th flight. It's not wild just because of how much faster that is, but just how much bigger Starship is. Falcon 9 can lift about 23 metric tons into orbit. Starship is designed to lift 200.
That is so exciting. And on top of that, we're also reflying engine 314 for its 3rd flight, which you might recall is the engine with a pie on the nozzle. And there you can see that engine there. It is a milestone, most definitely, but we do remain focused on getting to the point where no refurbishment is needed between any of the flights.
Yeah, that means we want to launch it, bring it back, look at it, reload propellants, go again. That is really what's key. That is what full and rapid reusability will look like.
We're coming to you today from Star Factory, our new 1 million square foot manufacturing facility in Starbase, Texas. The Super Heavy booster is the first stage of the Starship launch vehicle stack. It's the largest boost stage ever developed for any rocket ever. Having the largest rocket ever is a very cool engineering feat, but the thing that really makes a difference is the ability to rapidly reuse that rocket to launch many other missions. Reflying Booster 14 is an important first milestone in that we have proven that we can recover a vehicle, turn it around, and fly it a second time. But it's not a victory lap yet.
From an operational perspective, an ideal state looks like a vehicle where very few things have to happen on it in order to take back off again. So we catch the vehicle, put it back onto the launch mount, put a new ship back on top with its payload, refuel, and take back off. And that same booster will come back to the launch mount, and we do the same thing all over again. Falcon is, reusing at a pretty high rate, and we get to go look at them and say, what did you learn? What is good? What is bad? And as we continue to build the Starship process.
Zero-touch refurbishment really looks like a commercial airliner. The advantage we have on Booster relative to when we developed Falcon 9, for instance, is this was really designed from the outset for rapid reusability.
We're using all of the flight test learnings from our version 1 and version 2 vehicles in our orbital flight test campaign to inform the design of our version 3 vehicle.
The next generation vehicle will be the first time that we've really attempted to make rapidly reusable thermal protection on a rocket. In the next iteration, we'll be able to add in new innovative materials and regenerative cooling that will enable rapid zero-touch refurbishment.
Rapid reusability, the ability to fly, turn the vehicle around, and refly again immediately is really the key goal of the Starship program.
It is so cool to see our teams working together as Starship is learning from Falcon with reusability, and now we're seeing Starship do the same thing today. So all eyes on the rocket on the pad, getting ready to launch in just about 17 minutes from now.
That's right. Looking at our levels real quick, we're a little bit more than halfway full on fuel and LOX on the booster, over 80% full on the ship. Still have to fill those header tanks, but everything looking good. We're not tracking any issues on the range. As a reminder, we watch sea states, air, and land around the launch site here and also over in the Indian Ocean where we're going to be doing our reentry. Not tracking any blockers to launch at the moment. Weather is gorgeous, has not been a concern all day for launch. We've been moving through all of our pre-flight checkouts pretty smoothly so far this morning, getting the ship and the booster ready for prop load, making sure guidance, navigation, and control are aligned. Everything's ready to go. You can see with the frost coming off, we're getting pretty full. We started loading all of the propellants on board both ships about 45 minutes or so before launch. They kind of stagger where we start with ship and then move into booster. We're going to continue loading these propellants on board until just about 3 minutes before liftoff. We'll close out on the ship first and then on the booster. But bottom line, everything's looking great. Not tracking any vehicle issues, range issues, weather issues. We're looking really good right now for a launch at the top of our window right at 6:30 p.m. Central.
Yeah, seeing the propellant loading is making this getting more and more exciting. Today is going to be a wild ride for Super Heavy. We're putting the booster through several tests to expand the envelope on its capabilities and get flight data to make its return and catch more reliable. Now, another unique change in today's flight will be the addition of the first ever directional flip of the booster.
That's right. If you've followed previous flights and you kind of wonder to yourself, why does the direction of the booster flip seem random? Surprise, it's because it was. We've got a couple of views from previous flights where you'll see the booster kind of go in different directions, and it was really small differences in the thrust of those ship engines. As they started up, they would nudge the booster in an initial direction, and so the booster would essentially sense that and then lean into it, and it'll react, the engines will gimbal, and then it'll continue the flip. That was the easiest option technically, but you do take some performance hits since you're essentially setting aside propellant to accommodate every single direction for a flip.
Exactly, but if we know which direction we're flipping, then we know how much propellant we will need and can instead use more of the propellant to burn longer during ascent, adding more velocity to ship and increasing how much payload it can ultimately deliver to space.
Yeah, so today I got my trusty Super Heavy here. We're going to intentionally try to flip straight up. So as you're separating from the ship, we want to get to here as you're doing that boost back burn. The fastest way is to just flip straight up and go into it. That's roughly what we did on Flight 5. It's the most direct way to get into that orientation for the boost back burn. What you don't want to do is when you flip all the way down like that, we did that on Flight 7, it takes you in a big loop, uses the most amount of prop, not efficient. We're at the point where we want to start kind of tuning it in and getting some extra performance out of the booster.
Yeah, exactly. That's called optimization.
That's right.
To accomplish this, we made some changes to the hot stage adapter, welding reinforced panels over the vents in the direction that we want the booster to go. So when the ship engines ignite, the thrust will push against the blocked vents, which means that the nudge will be in the direction that we planned for. And then when we go to the next generation of ship and booster, we plan to control the flip direction by fine-tuning the engine startup sequence on the ship.
Yeah, that's not the only flight experiment that we have planned for the booster today. We're not attempting a catch, so we're going to try and gather additional data that's going to improve performance on future boosters. We're also going to try and see how resilient we are to things like losing an engine during the landing burn. By sending the booster out to sea, we're able to do these higher risk tests without risking the launch pad. As you might have heard earlier, we're going to be doing what's called a higher angle of attack. Basically, instead of coming straight down, we're going to tilt up a little bit. That gets you more drag on the booster. You're able to use just aerodynamic forces to slow you down. The slower you're going at the start of that landing burn, the less propellant you need, because really you're just focused on slowing down as much as humanly possible when you fire that up. So by already going a little bit slower, we'll get some benefits to our performance and our reliability on those burns.
Yeah, exactly. And there's definite uncertainty in how well the booster's grid fins and structure will be able to control its flight when we get into higher angles. So don't be surprised if it isn't a smooth descent for the booster down to its splashdown point today. The most important objective of this portion of the test will be getting actual flight data to help anchor our models. Now, we're hoping to fly the next generation of Super Heavy boosters at even higher angles of attack. So this test today will give us a better idea of what is feasible. Now, on top of all of this, we're going to see how resilient Super Heavy is to engine failures at the most critical times.
Yeah, we're going to intentionally disable one of those 3 center engines and instead use an engine from the middle ring that's kind of right behind it. Those center engines are what we nominally use at the very last part of a landing burn as you're just kind of fine-tuning the booster's path into those waiting chopstick arms. This is going to act as a real-world simulation of a pretty scary situation where engines are not starting at probably the worst possible time, but we're going to do this without risking the pad. And then, at the very end of the landing burn, we're going to cut one more engine off and go down to only those 2 center engines. The burn is going to end while Super Heavy is still several hundred feet above the Gulf, so we expect it to make a pretty hard splashdown today. So, in all, pretty eventful day for the booster.
And as many of you may know, water landings are actually uncommon for SpaceX. While other launch providers expend all of their boosters after flight, we land and reuse most of ours. All of these tests are going to help us improve future generations of Super Heavy until we reach its fundamental design, a fully and rapidly reusable and reliable rocket. All right, let's check back in with Chris in Hawthorne. How's it going, Chris?
Hey, Jesse, my colleagues here in Hawthorne definitely agree with you. We can't wait to see the Super Heavy perform its second flight and see all of the work from our thousands of engineers and technicians in action today. Now, while this reuse milestone is incredibly important for Starship's development, Super Heavy boosters are not the only vehicles that we reuse here at SpaceX. We're big on reuse, and our Dragon fleet is another example of that reuse. And we actually control those Dragon missions from right here in Hawthorne in the mission control room that we talked about a little bit earlier. For Dragon and our human spaceflight program, this month also marks a big milestone for SpaceX, our 5-year anniversary of human spaceflight. Now, NASA astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley got us started back on Demo 2, which was notable for being the first time since the retirement of the shuttle program in 2011 that people launched to orbit from U.S. soil. Now, in those 5 years, we have launched 17 human spaceflight missions, 11 for NASA, and 6 commercial missions, including Polaris Dawn, with our first commercial spacewalk in history, and From-2 earlier this year, which became the first human spaceflight mission ever to explore Earth's polar regions. We've flown a total of 66 crew in those 5 years, and we are expecting that number to grow significantly in the coming years. Now, most recently on our From-2 mission, the crew offered unique glimpses into the orbital spaceflight experience. And this was honestly just so cool to see. Thank you to our Starlink teams for making everything with the From-2 crew shared possible. This honestly made me feel like I was right there with them in Dragon. They were living, they were working, they were relaxing, they were doing their experiments while also having fun. Basically, just being people and inviting us along for the ride. And that was really meaningful. Being invited up there really showed how these are just the early days on the road to making life multiplanetary. And the vehicle that's going to make all of that happen is Starship. And Dan and Jesse, I don't know about you, but that is definitely a future I have wanted since I was a little kid, and I cannot wait to see us make it a reality.
Yeah, right there with you, Chris. It's the fact that we're getting close to that being reality, that the vehicle that's going to go is sitting on the pad right there. Like, that's endlessly exciting. All of that's going to include sending humans, all of the infrastructure for a permanent presence on Mars. And we're looking ahead to sending the very first Starships to Mars as early as next year.
Yeah, this will help prove that we can actually get to Mars with a focus on learning as much as possible while demonstrating what will be needed for Mars transit and landing. But before we can make life multiplanetary, we have to build the Starships that will make this all possible.
That's right, and that's happening right here, Starbase, Texas, the gateway to Mars. This is where we're soon going to be launching up to 25 Starship launches per year from here at Starbase. And the place is changing every single day. We've grown quite a bit just in the last couple of years. There's a couple hundred employees, their families living amongst actual rockets. We're in the process of expanding production and integration. We've got a target of 1,000 Starships a year we're going to try to hit. And recently, we did become a city of our own. We're the first city in Cameron County in 30 years. And that's just going to help us scale more quickly, try to build out the best community possible for all the people that are building the future of humanity's place in space. Starbase pretty easily one of the most inspiring, exciting, unique places to live and work on the planet. As usual, shameless plug, we're always hiring. Come help us build the gateway to Mars. Visit spacex.com/careers. You can see all of our openings.
And this is my first time in Starbase, and Dan, the Star Factory is a manufacturing engineer's dream. To be able to build a factory like this at such a large scale with such a large scale vehicle is so wild to me. And though I'm just visiting, Chris is hanging out right where I call home base. So let's check back in with Chris in Hawthorne.
Thanks, Jesse. Yeah, everything here in Hawthorne is looking good. The crowd is gathered, really excited to watch the hard work of all of their colleagues come to fruition here for Starship on its 9th flight test. Not tracking any issues. We are excited to watch Starship do its thing today, make it halfway around the world, and test a lot of those critical in-space maneuvers and operations that will be vital for the program's continued operation. So Dan and Jesse, we can't wait for liftoff. Let's have a good flight today.
Thanks, Chris. Now, if you're just now joining us, where have you been? But we're glad that you're joining us now. We are at T-minus just under 6 minutes until liftoff of the 9th Starship test flight. So far, the range is looking good. All the airspace and trajectory area that we are going to be launching through is looking good for our test flight today. Weather has been great. It was a little rainy and windy this morning, but it cleared up. It looks beautiful here in Starbase, and propellant loading continues on both stages.
All right, yeah, it is continuing. We're a little over 90% full on our booster. We are pretty much full in the main tanks on ship, filling up those header tanks. We're going to continue loading prop for about 2 more minutes. Once we're done with that, you've got just under 11 million pounds of liquid propellant spread across those 2 stages. After we get through all of that prop load, our stage 0 will get ready. The ground systems will go through pushbacks, clearing all of those fluid feed lines back to the propellant farm, getting ready for launch. We did just see they did a flap wiggle check, so the final flap check on the ship. We're doing final alignments of the guidance, navigation, and control system, our thrust vector control, essentially our steering, checkouts of the flight safety system. So everything progressing right now. If we do need to hold, that can come at T-minus 40 seconds. That's a point built into the countdown where we can pause to wait for any final checkouts, pressurizations, anything that we need to complete. We can hold there. We will only hold there if we're tracking an issue. We're not currently tracking anything that will hold us at T-minus 40 seconds. But if you've seen a Starship launch before, they can happen. We can push through them and then launch that day still.
Exactly. But when we do pass through T-minus 40 seconds, a number of events will occur in rapid succession. The ground spin and ignition systems come up to flight pressure, ship goes to internal power, and then after that, the quick disconnect or QD, arm lockout is removed in preparation for retraction just shortly after T-minus 0. And once we pass T-minus 40 seconds, we do still have the ability to recycle the count under certain conditions back to T-minus 40 seconds, and then hold there to assess what happened and see if we can proceed again back down to T0.
Yeah. There are a couple of things, kind of gates in that timeline that if we pass through that and we hit a hold, we'd have to scrub for the day. One pretty visual one will be if the water starts flowing for that deflector system that's underneath the launch mount. That happens right at around T-minus 10 seconds. For flowing water, we can't turn it off after it starts, and if we hit a hold, we're scrubbed for the day. We would need to refill those water tanks. We would also, at that point, need to refill all of the propellant tanks, as 11 million pounds of propellant is a whole lot. We can typically do that in about 24 hours, so we can always turn around to try again tomorrow. But we are coming up on 3 minutes away from liftoff. We should be hearing that we're closed out of prop load on the ship at this point. Booster coming up shortly.
And wow, the weather just looks amazing there with Starship on the launch pad. Just about 2 minutes and 45 seconds from T0 with a lot of objectives for today. The booster, the Super Heavy booster flying today, will be flying for its 2nd time. Last flight was on Flight 7 and just turned around in 2 flights, which is pretty incredible. I'm super excited to see that booster fly again.
All right, we did just hear we are going to hold at T-minus 40 seconds. So we'll pass along some more information once we.
Well, it seems that they're getting ready to launch, and everything is going relatively smoothly, albeit a hold. We'll have more live cameras for you from Interstellar Gateway, especially from Skyfall, as we get into flight. So, yeah. Oh, reminder, merch store, shop.igw.llc. I can't resist an opportunity to shill. It's in my DNA. All right, thank you.
Got to get one quick chill in there.
So we will expect to see the clock pause at T-minus 40. And then again, we've got a couple of minutes. They can work through the issues. If we're able to clear them, we can still launch today. If it's something that we can't, we can always stand down, turn around, recycle, fly again tomorrow.
Again, that's really important. This is what terminal count is exactly for, is to be checking the vehicle, monitoring the vehicle systems as it makes its way down to T0. And again, this gives us the ability to catch anything and be able to hold, as Dan has been saying, and recycle if we need to, or pause so that we can work through those issues and see if it's something that we need to stand down for. And as Dan mentioned, we will be holding at T-minus 40 seconds, so in about 20 seconds from now.
Yeah, so we'll hold there. And they'll work through these final checkouts on, sounds like just one of those Raptors on the first stage on Super Heavy, which, as you said, we're reflying it for the first time. 29 of those 33 engines have already been used in a launch, one of which has already launched
twice, and will go for
and
its
is getting ready for its third
time.
Right. And you just heard our flight director for the day, Joe Sliker. He just shared that we are going to hold at this T-minus 40 second mark. Keep an eye on one of those Raptor engines on booster. And if you're just now jumping in, we are holding still at T-minus 40 seconds. Watching one engine, waiting for temperatures to kind of get to a zone that we want them to on one of the engines on the booster, on the Super Heavy booster, getting ready for its second ever flight. So we'll just continue to hold. Again, we can hang out here for several minutes. We held for a while on the first attempt last time and then cleared it, and then we triggered a different issue on the ground side.
But again, this is exactly what it's for. This gives us the best chances at success.
And the clock is rolling.
There we go.
All right. T-minus 30. Let's listen in. Watch that first flight proven Super Heavy. Get ready to take off from Starbase.
T-minus 1, hit hold.
We did have a hold. And looks like the clock jumped back to T-minus 40 seconds.
All right, so yep, we jumped out. I did not see the deflector go off. So hopefully we were right at around that T-minus 10 second mark.
And if we were before that T-minus 10 second mark, we do have the ability to recycle, as we mentioned earlier, back to T-minus 40 seconds.
So it looked like this time it was a ground side issue. We're taking a look at this real quick. So again, we're back at T-minus 40. We're gonna hold for a little bit. We are still not scrubbed for the day. Give them a couple of minutes to work through this. Again, we can hang out at T-minus 40 for several minutes. Eventually, we start looking at your bulk temperatures and all of your propellant on board the vehicle. We're not actively replenishing the propellant on board Super Heavy and Starship, and so you don't have essentially forever to hang out before things start to warm up. and you do want to make sure your temperature's in a really stable range for a healthy startup on Raptor engines. So they're going to work through this issue. We can continue to hold here for a couple of minutes. What's launch without a little extra added excitement? All right, so cumulatively, we've held for a little over 3 minutes between the two holds. Again, this is a ground side issue on our tower. The techs are looking through the data right now to see if it's something that we can either work through or if it would cause us to have to stand down. So we're continuing to hang out with them, holding at T-minus 40.
If you're just joining us, we did initially hold at T-minus 40 seconds. We continued the count, but recycled before we got to T-minus 10 seconds. And so we're back at a hold at T-minus 40 seconds, waiting for more information. The team is checking out to see if we can continue today. And we're continuing to hold here at T-minus 40 seconds. We've been holding for just about 5 minutes now as the teams evaluate if we can continue to T0 for Flight 9.
All right, so it sounds like we're coming to a resolution. All right, so we are getting to a resolution. We're going to reset everything. All right, so we're going to see the clock. It is now rolling.
Here we go.
We saw an issue with that quick disconnect to the ship. There is a chance that automation will kick us out again if we encounter the same issue. But for now, the clock is rolling. We'll see if we pass around that T-minus 10 second mark. T-plus 40 seconds, it's one hell of a sight from here. We see it arcing right over top of us. We see 33 out of 33 Raptor engines lit on Super Heavy as it starts to ascend skyward. Coming up on maximum aerodynamic pressure, then only about a minute and a half until we get into hot staging.
Wow, Dan, that was incredible. We could feel the building shaking here, feel the vehicle's power. Now we're just about a minute away from shutting down those engines on the booster. Again, this booster is flying for its second time today.
All right, so hot staging coming up a little under a minute. We're going to see all but the 3 center engines turn off on the booster. So our version of MECO, most engines cut off. And then just a few seconds later, hoping to see 6 engines ignite on ship to push it away. All right, hot staging, about 30 seconds. And definitely keep an eye on which way the booster flips. First ever directional flip we're going for today. Should flip straight up. See those engines powering down?
Booster engine cutoff. Ship ignition. Stage separation.
Incredible flip by Super Heavy booster, and you can see those 6 engines, those 3 engines on the ship ignited.
6 healthy Raptors running on ship, on its way to space. Peek that engine view, booster doing the boost back. Chris, how's it looking over there in Hawthorne, man?
It is looking...
Chamber pressure is nominal.
It is looking absolutely incredible here in Hawthorne. As we said, 6 healthy engines on ship. We've got 13 out of 13 engines on the booster. Now down to those 3, which is what we expect in the final moments of the boost back burn. Now, as a reminder, we are not recovering the Super Heavy booster today. We are instead going to do some...
shutdown.
And there we had a good shutdown of the boost back burn. Next up will be the jettison of that hot stage
Ship
ring.
avionics power and telemetry nominal.
Great call out there that everything looking nominal aboard the Super Heavy vehicle, which is returning to Earth, and we're going to be doing some experiments with it, including a higher angle of attack re-entry, as well as some engine tests as it gets closer to the Gulf. We are, again, because of these tests not recovering it, we are sending it to the Gulf on purpose to do those tests. But again, you see the booster on the left-hand side of your screen. You see ship with 6 healthy engines continuing its ascent to its planned suborbital trajectory. Everything going very well so far for Starship's 9th flight. Now 4 minutes, 15 seconds in. Great views from inside of the aft engine area of ship there, looking at those 3 sea level and 3 Raptor engines on the right-hand side of your screen. The booster doing its LOX dump, that liquid oxygen dump. So because we don't need some of that liquid oxygen propellant in its tanks, we vent that propellant out to lessen the booster's mass as it comes in for its landing. Just absolutely gorgeous views watching these 2 vehicles do their respective things in the skies over Texas here today. And Dan, we're approaching the 5-minute mark into the flight. Super Heavy is descending rapidly. What can we expect here in the next few minutes as it does its atmospheric tests?
Yeah, now as we had talked about, Super Heavy might not have a very smooth ride down. We're going to be putting it through this higher angle of attack. So we're kind of pitching it up a tiny bit, increasing drag. We've done this in wind tunnels. We've done this in computer modeling. It shows that sometimes the control isn't great, but only one way to really prove it out, and that's to get real-world data. So here comes Super Heavy. It should be igniting for its landing burn in just about 40 seconds from now.
And we are going to relight 13 engines, then bring that down to 3 engines. As we talked about earlier, we will be intentionally shutting down. We will be shutting down one of those 3 center engines intentionally to push the limits of the Super Heavy booster.
Ship Raptor, chamber pressure is nominal.
And continuing to see 6 healthy engines on the ship. 3 sea level and 3 vacuum engines still ignited as the Super Heavy booster is making its way back down to Earth.
We can see those grid fins doing some heavy work.
Booster landing, start up.
Ignited for our landing burn. It may have ended with that landing burn. Does look like we lost telemetry from the booster once we started into that landing burn. Did you hear confirmation that the booster did demise? So the booster's flight ending before it was able to get through landing burn, but again, we are not bringing that back. We were expecting it to make a hard splashdown in the Gulf. We were getting live data back the entire time through that high angle of attack flight, so that was something that was really vital for us to get during this reuse. First free flight of booster in the books. All right, ship has about 2 minutes left.
In about 2 minutes, we expect all 6 Raptor engines to shut down. That will be SECO, basically second engine or second stage engine shut off. And these are some incredible views, Dan, from the aft end of the ship, watching as the engines stay ignited with the Earth in the background.
As always, the Starship avionics team, the techs. I think we just heard the booster. But all right, we got about a minute left into this burn. All eyes definitely on ship as we get through the final stages into its ascent. We're expecting it to start to cut those engines off in about 45 seconds.
Terminal guidance.
All right, just about 30 seconds to go. We're in terminal guidance in the final stages of this ascent burn. We did see shutdown of the Raptor engines. We do stagger these, so we do the Raptors first. Those 3 have shut down successfully. Sea level's still running.
Ship engine cut off.
Ship engine cut off, the 3 most beautiful words in the English language.
And great call out that we had nominal insertion. An incredible flight test so far today. We reflew a super heavy booster for the very first time in 9 test flights. Ship is in its orbital trajectory. Again, it's going to remain suborbital for its mission today. But it ignited all, it ignited all 6 of its engines and made it all the way through SECO just now.
What a moment.
Incredible.
All right, but I mean, that's, still lots to come for the rest of this flight. Per usual, I need to collect myself. Hey, Chris, how's it going over there in Hawthorne, man? How's everybody doing?
I think the elation and the excitement and the happiness at what we just saw achieved carried through across all of our sites. What an incredible view to see Starship back orbiting the Earth just under 11 minutes into our mission. Absolutely exciting to see all of this, and super pumped especially to see all of the team's hard work in action here today. As guaranteed, it has been an exciting evening so far for Starship's 9th test flight. We lifted off a little bit after 6:30 p.m. after a couple of holds that were triggered at the T-minus 40-second mark, but we were able to clear those, one on the Raptor, one on the tower, and we were able to lift off successfully from Starbase. 33 out of 33 Raptor engines lit on the Super Heavy, all 6 engines lit on ship, bringing it to its planned suborbital trajectory around Earth. But as Dan said, we've got a lot still coming up in our flight sequence. So coming up at about T plus 18 minutes, 26 seconds, we'll have the first deployment of simulated Starlink satellites planned from Starship. That will be followed at about T plus 37 minutes and 49 seconds by the relight of a single Raptor sea level engine in space. This is going to help us gather data on our ability to do a deorbit burn for future Starship missions that will go orbital. And then, of course, one of the biggest tests yet to come is the new heat shield modifications to Starship. And that'll start with reentry into Earth's atmosphere at about the T plus 45 minute mark, which should take about 16, 18 minutes to complete. And now today's reentry is going to test that heat shield like we said, specifically how Starship will hold up to 100 missing heat shield tiles on its thermal protection system. Now, we purposely took those 100 tiles off over very critical areas of the vehicle to be able to safely test on a flight like this suborbital trajectory into the Indian Ocean what might happen on an operational flight in those areas if we were to lose the primary heat shield tile over Starship. So very critical test coming up. And then after that, we'll have the final descent where we will again be pushing Starship to its limits. We definitely pushed the booster to its limits today to gather data, and we're going to be doing the exact same thing on that ship, seeing how the ship handles various flight conditions that we will need it to fly in as we look to one day soon bring ships back to Starbase for catch and reuse. Now, while there are payload simulators on Starship for deployment today, as we will see in a few minutes, the primary data and the primary payload for today is the data. And today, just like with Starship's previous test flights, that data is coming to us courtesy of our Starlink network. In fact, it is from Starlink that you are seeing these wonderful views of ship in space right now. So, and I can't wait to see Starlink really provide those epic views and that data transmission during reentry, which is very, very critical to getting that data during reentry. So, Dan and Jesse, it's been an exciting day so far. There's more to come. As we get ready for Starship's first ever payload deploy, what can we expect next here in the next few minutes?
Thanks, Chris. Just going to reiterate, thank you to the Starlink team for these incredible views today. In a few minutes, Starship will deploy 8 Starlink simulators, similar in size to our next generation Starlink satellites. The Starlink simulators will be on the same suborbital trajectory as Starship, meaning they will passively re-enter the atmosphere, just like Starship. With tests like these, we can see how Starship's payload deploy systems work in flight while ensuring that these simulator satellites pose no safety risk to people on Earth or for other satellites in orbit. Now, this also ensures that any parts of these simulator Starlink satellites that do survive reentry splash down harmlessly in the middle of the Indian Ocean.
And then before we get there, though, we're going to have to open up that payload deploy door. So we've only ever done that one time before. Pretty sure it was Flight 3. Someone on the internet, please check me. But that was the only time we ever opened it. And we've had Starlink simulators on the last 2 flights, but we haven't gotten to this moment yet where we're able to open up the payload door and start deploying these. It's going to be pretty cool. We've got them stacked inside of the Starship payload bay, and we'll have potentially a couple of views. You saw one camera pop up. Oh, there we go. Look inside of the payload bay of Starship. You can see them stacked down in the middle of your view. There's kind of 4 on either side, so they're sandwiched on top of each other, a stack of 4 right behind each other. And then we're going to pop the door open. It's on the right side of your screen, so we'll see that open up and then start firing those Starlink simulators out into space.
We are expecting the payload door to open in a little over a minute from now. And then once that payload door is open, about a couple minutes later is when we will start dispensing those Starlink simulators. What a great
right
view.
At the bottom of the stack. So should be able to see them kind of firing out from right there. So really cool. And eventually these are going to carry dozens of the next generation of Starlink satellite into space, and those are going to enable some truly insane things in terms of speeds from space and what we're able to do. Starlink's been really great for Starship, obviously. Getting live video back is really cool, but just the amount of high-speed telemetry, everything we're able to get back is insane. And for a development program, that's kind of everything. We're in excess of 130 or 160. My numbers are fuzzy right now, just like my brain is. But well in excess of 100 megabits per second of downlink, and a lot of that gets eaten up by video. We've got dozens of cameras across Starship. We added several more. For this flight, you saw a couple of those as we have essentially 360 degrees. Oop. Open the pod bay door, Hal.
Now we are expecting the payload door to open any moment now, so we're watching out for that. Again, you're looking at the inside of Starship as it's suborbital.
Well, we heard the door open was in progress. It was unable to actuate all the way open, so they are going to close it back up. Hal told me no. He said, I'm sorry, Dan. Can't do that. Looks like we won't get the door open today. But that's okay. This is obviously a test we want to be able to do before we're deploying full-on Starlinks. But the real focus for this, now that we are in space, is getting to that reentry. That is the most critical phase of Starship that we still have to prove out. All right, well, so it does look like we're not going to be able to deploy Starlinks today, but we should have pretty frequent views from Starship. They might cut in and out every once in a while, but should be pretty regular. We are in darkness right now, so might be a lot of black, but the cool part is when we get to reentry, it's going to be daytime.
Yes, and we did that on purpose so that we can get some live daytime views as ship is returning back to Earth.
All right, so we are going to take a break. Enjoy these views as we get them. Enjoy the tunes. We'll be back in a couple of minutes when we get ready to relight one of those Raptor engines on orbit. See you soon.
Righty.
All right.
Well, that was insane. I don't know if you guys were able to see that, but that a fire in the aft bay, an RVAC did start glowing, but it still got through.
Yeah, I gotta say, that was definitely not the expected outcome from me.
Yeah.
I would say I am not alone in that. But yeah, we got all the way to Seco.
Yeah.
Like Perry said, there was definitely a bit of glow in there. I could see on some of the towards the end of the RVAC nozzle extension. But yeah, I gotta give credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
We made it to Seco.
Exactly.
Third time's the charm, it really is. All right, it looks like we got Mr. Joshua of the anti-person variety over there.
Yeah. Just looks like, hold on, give him a second. I genuinely cannot believe that. I was not, out of all the things I was expecting to see today, I was not expecting to see the RVAC start glowing, like just like there start to be like blue fire and green fire just start culminating the engine bay, and then after all of that, Seco. Now it looks like the ship is spinning a bit. Could be like a Flight 3 kind of situation with like a blocked or clogged ACS or something. But wow, we did it! Starship at Seco again.
Yeah, I gotta say we've been kind of used to failures over the last 2 flights, so it's kind of like kind of having to reprogram yourself. It's like we keep talking about the negatives, but they did it. They got to Seco. The ship appears to be mostly in one piece. The payload bay door didn't open, but it's not like there's not precedent for that.
Yep.
It wasn't a primary part of the mission, at least this particular mission.
Exactly.
So, Bob's your uncle, SpaceX. You did the thing.
All right, let's cut back into Joshua Anti-Person over here.
Oh, never mind.
Let's see how he's doing.
He appears to be black.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh shoot! Hold on.
We got the Islanders.
Yeah, we might want to cut that in. Islanders over
there we
here
go.
saying hi. Glad you guys got that. Unfortunately, we weren't able to show it live.
Wow.
Oh my god, it's beautiful.
Wow.
Nice one,
Yeah,
guys.
we got it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
We got
awesome.
it. Wow.
That is definitely footage people haven't seen before. It's definitely not been captured before. We are winning.
That is beautiful.
Oh my
End of
god.
the game, baby.
We're seeing about a 72p image of that, but when that gets off that camera,
oh yeah,
I cannot wait. It is going to be a beautiful sight.
Oh yeah.
No 4K explosions. Yep.
Exactly.
Big.
Not 4K explosions, 4K successes, baby. All right, come on
It's
now.
what we live for.
Yeah.
I have a very hard time arguing with a success.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and the sun's setting in the Bahamas. Now they get to enjoy a vacation. Oh,
Yeah.
boo.
Oh, that's
Just
Yeah.
kidding. Yeah, that's beautiful. Oh my god. Oh, it's so great.
All right. The season of Survivor is so weird. Yeah, we're right there with you.
Sitting down with you.
Wow.
Well,
Do we have a microphone?
Man.
I don't know.
Man. Thank you to our whole team.
Your mics are on. Your mics are on.
Oh, they are on. Hi.
Oh.
What's
Hey,
up,
guys.
guys?
Sorry about that.
It's
Hey.
just so everybody knows in the live stream, that was really cool. Very hard to shoot from here. You don't realize how small the little guy is. Just little guy. But Sam got some sick photos. We have like 8 cameras rolling out here, so looking forward to dumping all that footage and getting some stuff for you guys here shortly. Thanks to Starlink for the great connection out here. I mean, we've been able to watch and listen to the whole live stream. It's been amazing. One more thing, if you guys are interested, we did record an episode of our podcast Beyond the Launch Pad today, so I will be working on editing that tomorrow on my way home. I apologize to everyone in the airport and the airplane. I smell like a hobo. That's where we're at. Thanks, guys. Congrats to everyone on the SpaceX team and to the IGW commentators. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you for your
Thank
efforts.
you.
Yeah.
All right. It appears that one Joshua Anti-Person is ready in Texas to get ready, so we might cut him in here for a second.
All right.
Let's see. There we go. Hey, Josh.
There.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear us?
Yeah. Yeah.
What a show.
What? You got to see the booster
Hearing
explode
those
firsthand.
raptors like cross like seeing Starship launch first and then a whole lot of seconds later hearing the sound of those raptors and the raptors just increasing in volume over time.
Yeah.
Take me back. Take me back. That was worth it. That was worth everything.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. My biggest experience with a vehicle was a Falcon. and that thing rocked my shit. So I cannot imagine what 33 Raptors did to you.
I can feel all my organs have ruptured. As far as I know, I'm going to the hospital next.
Incredible. Joshua Anti-Person, yet another victim of SpaceX. Man, that must have felt insane.
Yeah.
Man. Jealous of you. Hopefully we'll be out there next time.
Oh, I am jealous.
We'll see you out here.
Yeah. You see the booster explode or no? Looked like
We did. Right off the coast. It was kind of hazy. You can't really see the sea line from here, but you could see a big orange explosion, and then maybe like a minute or two later, that you could hear the sound. It sounded just like if anyone was around during the shuttle period, when the dual sonic booms coming in, right for landing at KSC.
Very important question from your. Sorry, from your vantage point, did it look like it managed to hit the water, or did it explode above the water?
Funny question. Yeah, it looked like it hit above the water, which I believe is some sort of optical illusion with the ocean and the atmosphere. Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for your in-person insights, so to speak.
Yeah. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for having me out here.
Yeah. Of course.
You put in all the work. Now we just get to quiz you in the after show, I guess.
Yeah. We've just been sitting here. We're the lazy ones, I think, in this whole equation.
Yep.
Oh, you guys are the ones putting yourself out.
All right. So
I don't know about that.
We're about 30 minutes through flight. We don't got much going on at the moment, but let's see what we have to look forward to here. I believe we have re-entry coming up very shortly. So actually at T plus 37 minutes and 49 seconds, we are supposed to get that relight test. I believe we're through that, yeah? Do we happen to know if they've elected to skip the ISB? Sorry about that. We're about 10 minutes off from that.
Okay.
Yep. So we're about 9 minutes off from that in-space burn test.
Let's see. Look at.
All right. All right. If we're going quiet here, it's because there's not a whole lot to look at the moment.
Yeah, getting a nice view of SpaceX mission control. What is okay? Hold on. I've been told by Emlyn to look at the Starship graphic at the bottom corner of the screen.
Boy.
Oh boy.
It is doing some things right now.
Yeah. Ooh, that you spin me right round, baby, right round. Okay, we don't want to get copy striked.
Do you really think we're good enough singers? Oh. Ooh boy. Okay.
That's always fun.
What is red?
Yep, so we're seeing well, attitude control is looking what is usually referred to as not great.
Yeah.
Looks like we just flipped around a full 180 degrees on ship, and it looks like we're turning back.
Oof.
This is very Kerbal.
Another 90 degrees or so. Yeah, it looks like ship has absolutely lost attitude control.
Wow.
Yep. So
Flight 3, welcome back. Booster exploded above land before it was supposed to, probably. The ship survived after the previous one had a leak in the aft. Oh my lord, it's Flight 3 all over again. Spinning re-entry, baby.
Welcome back, Flight 3, my beloved.
Well.
Wow. Man, that is, I mean, I suppose it's expected that the ship could get away scot-free from the damage.
Yeah. Telemetry is looking a little iffy. It looks like we just lost some packets there. You can see the ship kind of go back and forth there on the graphic.
I'm also noticing the flaps seem to be moving as well.
Yeah, the flaps are definitely trying to compensate.
That is not necessarily a good sign. Well,
because it is going completely backwards.
Oh yeah.
If it re-enters like that, it will get sautéed like a nice steak.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
So ship. I think it's fair to say that ship is up. They looks like they just put away that re-entry graphic where we could see the angle.
Oof.
Which is not particularly promising.
No.
I think it's fair to say that ship is not capable of gaining control over itself again at this point.
Yes. Very likely that the ship has, again, sustained damage and been lost. And I just have to say, it's really kind of incredible that it's happening again. The first flight of a Block 2 shook itself to death. You know, you can write that one off. The second one died of leaks. And now the third looks like it's lost control of its attitude and is re-entering backwards. If that sounds familiar to you, flights 1, 2, 3, now we're at 7, 8, 9. It's something special to see history repeat itself.
Yeah, I don't want to sound excited to be witnessing a failure. I'm definitely not. This is not only a loss for the Starship program, but for the industry at large. There's kind of bet on Starship. But you would think that these sort of issues would be ironed out by now. So,
I mean, hey, they made it through SECO, which
Yeah,
is
they-
way better than the last two flights.
Yeah.
Way better.
yeah, I can't fault them for getting further than they did previously.
Exactly.
Now, some of you may have seen there was a leaked photo from Ship 29, which did make it through re-entry through some continuous series of miracles. So, listen, I put nothing past this stainless steel tube. For all I know, we could see this thing touch down in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
I have extremely low hopes at the moment, but listen,
You never know.
stranger things have happened.
Mm-hmm. Hey, and if it happens to land in the Indian Ocean,
Yeah.
We perhaps might be able to show you something after.
Yeah, I know some of you familiar with their work may know of Project Fallen Star, which was our previous project prior to this.
Yeah. That was when we showed some of the recovered debris of Ship 31.
Correct.
And of course, not going to say anything, but we may have something similar planned.
We always have stuff up our sleeves, but again, we're not really looking. We're not really expecting a complete ship here. We would be expecting more, well, confetti, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Still, we're getting amazing images out of this. I've never seen this color of cloud before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's these cameras have definitely been through hell and back. Quite a literal
Absolutely.
hell in this case. I think it is quite telling that this is the only view they're showing us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should be clear by now, by the way. We were expecting that in space burn demo at about plus 37 minutes and change. That is something that they elect to do on a voluntary basis. And if the ship has completely lost attitude control, that's not something they are going to go for. So essentially, this thing is a sitting duck until it no longer can sit.
It appears that SpaceX did learn from 33 and 34.
Yep.
I'm going to
Absolutely.
plug our merchandise because we do have a tributary shirt to Ship 34 and 35.
Yeah,
but
this is what you call iterative.
Exactly. This is why we show, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, no, incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely. You can see that spin appears to be intensifying. Those clouds are going by. Well, clouds, so to speak. It's probably plasma, actually, but
hard to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see how quick the lighting's changing on the ship.
Yeah, that's probably a better indicator of what we're seeing at the moment. And what we're seeing at the moment is not promising. I really do wish we had that re-entry graphic. The fact that we don't either means that SpaceX doesn't want us to see it, or they do not have that telemetry themselves. Either one is very possible, since as far as I'm aware, there are separate downlinks for critical and non-critical telemetry, i.e. like non-engineering cameras. So it is very possible that they just do not have that telemetry.
Yeah, entirely possible. We could have a exceptional number of things coming after this. We don't know. That's the simple answer. The simple answer is we do not know what will happen next with this ship. And of course, we're being dragged along for the ride. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You can see a flap camera view there.
Yeah.
I think that's an aft.
Yep, you can see that that aft flap looks like it. Yeah, it looks like that flap is in the fully retracted, closest to the body view. At least it looks like it.
Yeah. That's
right.
ooh, man.
Yep.
This ship is spinning.
Yeah.
Well, so
Listen,
now, yeah.
we were gonna get a show one way or the other.
Yeah. Now, we'd like to introduce onto the live stream one of the directors of Interstellar Gateway,
Yeah.
Mr. Quantify Vital, who's been very diligently
Yep.
in our back channels helping coordinate between our Florida and Bahamas team, who,
Yep.
of course, you will see his work in color grading
Yep.
our videos later.
Yep.
Him and Emlyn have been very excellent on that front.
I call them the background Brits, but they have been cooking, and
Yeah.
Why don't you take us away, Quant?
Mr. Quant?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, the kitchen's going to smell nice soon because we've got an awful lot of footage to work with. So if you don't know who I am, I go by Quantify online, real name's managed, you might see me using both. I am the administrative director, so I handle a lot of logistical planning, risk assessments, lots of boring things. But I'm also working in the creative side of things with color grading and shot planning. So I've been sitting in the back channels for really most of this launch and helping coordinate. Obviously, we've got 3 separate teams. We've got a Texas team, we've got an Ireland team, and we've got a Miami team. So there's a whole lot of people that we need to keep informed. So I've been sitting, giving live updates, making sure that cameras are triggered, microphones are good, etc. And we have an awful lot of cameras that need to be triggered, which is why we need someone dedicated to making sure of that. We've got well over 12 of them, actually, if I count properly, and 8 on one island alone. So you can imagine we've probably got quite a few shots. From what I've heard from them, we have got a few really good views of the vehicle venting, or what appeared to be venting, anyway, around Seco. So we have got some great twilight effect shots. We've got some fantastic stills as well from Sam, who was actually brought on as a social media intern and got sent out to a remote island in the Bahamas by our CEO, Joey Leal. So fun things at Interstellar Gateway. But do keep an eye on our socials. It's a shame that this flight appears to be going slightly off track, to say the least, but we've got plenty of good media to keep you entertained in the next Starship drought. How are you guys doing here in the commentator booth? How's it all going?
I'd be grabbing popcorn if I had some. Unfortunately, I would really prefer to be watching popcorn to plasma going by, not in a spin, but
yeah, I mean,
breaks, I guess, to use your parlance.
Things happen. Things happen, man. I mean, I just hope they can recover it for the next flight because it do be spinning though, don't it? It really do.
Yep.
Well, not to worry, because if you ever feel down about this and you want something else to take your mind off it, IGW dropped merch, as I'm sure Mr. Merch Boy Perigi will tell you.
Yeah!
Lots of very interesting stuff on that website. You take a look. To be completely honest with you, my brain's mushed with T+ count, so I've forgotten what the merch link is. Mr. Perigi, would you mind reading that out?
Shop.igw.llc.
Would you look at that?
One thing I can
I've got a link here as well.
That.
There you go. Go take a look. There is some really good stuff here. As you can imagine, this stuff is not free. I was joking when I said we had investors who'd pay us millions and millions and give me a free Volvo. I will not be getting my Volvo for this flight, which is okay, maybe next time. But no, do take a look. Come contribute. Helps us keep things going. We have an awful lot of logistics to keep funded and to keep planning. And even if you don't want to support, your support in comments and social chatting means the world to us.
Yeah. I think the one thing I gotta say here is watching these views, is holy hell, the fact that we are getting these views at all is insane. These views are all courtesy of Starlink, which just 5 years ago was just not something that was possible. We are currently getting live views of a ship spinning out of control above the Kármán line while being buffered by hot plasma.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
we are getting
wow.
downlink of this live.
This
And
is
we are among 1.7 million other people, 1.8 million other people watching this.
This is kind of the beauty of
sometimes-
Starlink. Sorry to butt in,
Yeah.
but I think this
No,
is
you're good.
part of the beauty of Starlink technology is previous satellite comm tech has largely been based on static antennas, right? So you've got a static antenna pointing up to a satellite in, for instance, geostationary orbit. And it's quite a long distance there, and if you move the dish, you generally lose signal.
Oh,
But with
wow.
Starlink,
That looks like it's re-entering.
whoa.
Oh, that looks like it's re-entering.
Oh, it does.
I think it's
Oh, that is.
fair to
Oh,
say
God.
That's some plasma right there.
Okay, you know what? As great as Starlink is, I'll be impressed if it handles this.
Yeah, no, I gotta say, it's doing pretty good so far. Got a little bit of artifacting, good banding.
It's been pretty good, yeah.
Yeah,
And of
if
course,
anything,
because
this
that Starlink
is,
dish.
Oh my!
This is more so a test of Starlink than a test of ship.
Wow.
It seriously
oh
is,
wow!
man.
Oh
Letting
my
engines all
God.
can at the moment.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh my Lord.
So this is a view that we haven't previously gotten, and this is a beautiful one. You see that copper that's coming from those engines,
Oh,
most
no.
likely. Which
Oh boy.
Yeah, so if you weren't aware, chat, that is quite toasty,
Man.
and it's not meant to get toasty down there.
Yep.
Ship. Oh.
Look at those colors.
Oh my God,
The
it's still there. Fighting like
The
a
engineering
trooper.
term for this is pretty hot.
yeah, the technical term is crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, to be fair, it's still
Man,
going pretty strong. Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
the
no,
fact
still
that
going.
we still
Just
have
closer,
connection
we're
through this
essentially
is
venting
insane.
all of the remaining propellant overboard.
I don't think
Hold
we've
up,
ever
let's go.
gotten
Making
ever in
uncontrolled
history
re-entry.
such a good view of.
If Starlink works for a Starship spinning into the atmosphere, it'll work on your roof.
I
Indian
just saw a
Ocean
couple
where the
tiles
freeze
float
would
by.
take place.
Oh wow.
Some sort
So
of
we're not
debris
going to come
there.
down
Oh,
exactly
it's
where we
frozen.
would have had nothing happened, but we do clear a
No,
tremendous
no,
amount
no, it's
of,
not. No, it's
It's
not.
still fighting.
that we run into this. You
It
always
ain't
we
giving up.
understand that there are always risks.
Holy
Essentially,
God.
in these flight tests with the
The
hardware.
ship will. We're
but we
below.
don't
We're below 100
really
kilometers
end up
now,
any
so we are out of
compromise when it comes
space,
to
and
protecting
And it does seem like ship is
It is,
dumping that propellant,
one
so
thing
if you
to
were
note
looking
that
to see a
we're
landing
actually
today,
still
I'm afraid that does look like it's unlikely.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
all right.
All right. Wow. All right.
Well, we got that. View's frozen again. We do still have telemetry, it appears.
But I'm afraid that since it's gone back to that webcast, we'll probably go quiet now, let you listen in, and I'll dive back to my crew.
Shame.
All right.
And we just started to lose some of our cameras, so it's very possible that we'll start to lose contact with Starship a lot sooner than we would have if it was a nominal reentry. So we are expecting it to break up essentially on its reentry over the Indian Ocean. So not able to do a lot of our on-orbit objectives today, but just the fact that we, got it into space was just a really big moment for a lot of the team.
Yeah, and another thing to note is that Super Heavy did fly for its second flight today. It first flew on Flight 7, and it made it all the way to our shutdown of all the engines and stage separation, getting ship into its suborbital trajectory today. It did ignite its 13 engines, but it did demise at that point. We did plan to fly it back down to Earth at a higher angle of attack, and we do expect it to stress the vehicle a lot more than what we've seen previously. So it's not unexpected that we did lose the booster before we got to the actual landing.
Yeah. So we're gonna continue to hang out and see if we get any updates on ship. It does look like we might be getting some video back soon. There we go. So this is a view essentially on the top part of Starship. You're looking up at the payload bay and towards the nose cone. So views are going to be a little bit scarce potentially, as again we are in essentially a tumble. We had lost that attitude control. So Starlink, when it's able to connect, able to feed this down.
Oh my God.
We are at the phase where we would expect entry to start within the next minute or so.
This is,
so we are
I don't think we've
entering
ever seen this.
uncontrolled, but again, we're entering into an airspace.
Oh my God, look at that.
What even am I looking at here?
That looks like that ablative layer right there.
Yeah.
Hooking off.
Yeah.
That's
Is
incredible.
It looks like it's spinning, but it's so.
That flap is. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's an aft flap burn through.
Yeah.
Feeling that temperature there.
Oh my.
Wow.
I don't think we'd see
This
one
ship
of
is a
those.
trooper.
Wow. That's just. That's something. That's something. We're still getting telemetry going down, though. It hasn't frozen yet. And it's still there. Oh, we're getting momentary peaks through. If this makes it.
Kilometers.
If this makes it.
No, I think it's fair to say.
And so we'll stick with
59.3. Stuck on there for a while. So that might be.
Might be over.
Might be it.
But
that might be it.
Yeah. So it's re-entering actively right now. And again, we did do what's called passivation. So you essentially vent all of your.
That was an incredible flap burn through. I don't think.
That's a safe
man.
we can take on the ship.
Ship 29s was something, but that.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
All right, it looks like SpaceX has put away the telemetry on screen. Never a good sign.
Yeah.
All of that re-entry data that
wow.
we're still really looking forward to.
Wow.
This is
all right.
Kind of a new generation of ship that has different flaps.
What a flight.
Heat shield, a whole lot of
what a flight, yeah.
Really trying to
that was certainly
as there's a whole lot
one for the books.
Absolute cinema.
Yeah, absolute cinema. It has been a pleasure watching all this for you.
Agreed. Thank you.
Getting through
oh my. Wow.
Really important. It's not going to be today.
Wow.
But we are just going to stick with the ship, see what else we can learn as it makes its way through the atmosphere and brings an end to the 9th flight test.
What happens here? What happens from here? I mean, naturally, probably next flight sooner than the last one, if it didn't enter over anywhere populated, or at least too populated.
Yeah, the hope is that obviously nobody was put at risk. There's a reason that they had very wide hazard areas that spanned almost, if not all, of the length of the flight corridor. So the hope is that no one was put at risk. There's no danger to anybody or anything, and they can get this issue worked out real quick. If it's anything like S-29.
Africa appears to have re-entered over Africa.
Appears to have re-entered over Africa. Wow.
That's a pretty wide strip, so hopefully it entering over Africa, entering over West Africa. Okay, good. Good.
Wow, okay.
West Africa.
That's
to
crazy.
clarify.
Oh shoot, wait, nope. That's West Africa. Ooh, that's not East Africa would be the better one because that would be the side with the coast on it. Okay, it'll still probably hit the ocean, apparently.
Okay. Do we have a rough? Can we toss up a rough idea of where we think it's going to hit by chance?
Yeah.
See if we can get working on that. We can just get the flight profile up or something, and like the expected flight path at this time.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
Doing its first second flight ever, which is pretty incredible.
Getting a request to check up on the Bahamas. I believe we've lost live coverage of there.
We may have it, but I'm not.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
There we are. Your request has been heeded.
Can you guys hear me? We good?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Perfect. All right. So that was incredible. Seeing ship go through SECO from a front view is something that is just wild in person. For those who want to see it, and I think we might show it on here, I'm not 100% sure. The first photo is live on the IGW Twitter. So if you want to go see what V2 going through SECO looks like from a uninhabited of the Bahamas, go check out our Twitter at Interstellar Gateway. Interstellar GW. Sorry, it's It's pretty flustered right now. That was pretty exciting.
Yeah, you can see that little still dot there. Holy cow!
Yeah, I mean, like you could
gotta
make out ship from here for sure, and the stills you can see it. It's pretty clear.
Is this a screenshot from video or is this a still right here?
No, that is a still from my camera.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow. That is incredible. That's from just after Seco, I take it, right? All right. Looks like we just lost some. Holy cow.
Well, what can you do?
Okay. So
man,
that was yeah, that was our view. That's obviously the first frame of it. That was pretty exceptional to see, and I'm glad that congrats to SpaceX for getting through Seco. That's a huge milestone, and I think we're all pretty excited for them.
Yeah, this finally lets them move forward in the program, and I'm glad you guys were able to capture it because I think you might be the only ones who have captured that. At least with
there's a very
high
chance that is the only. These are the only photos of V2 going through Seco so far. So pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, you guys have both a front row seat and the equipment to capture it. So thank you very much for that.
This is also Sam's first Starship.
I forgot to mention, I've never seen Starship. So if you would have told
more people
beating
us every day.
If you would have told me that my first time seeing Starship would have been from the middle of nowhere, I obviously wouldn't have believed you. I was a social media intern as of 2 weeks ago, so this is pretty ridiculous.
Get your passports.
Get your passports.
Yeah. It was shockingly difficult to give away a company all expenses paid vacation to the Bahamas. Turns out half of our team doesn't have a passport.
It also turns out it's less of a vacation, more of a sand fest. So if you want to talk about uncomfortability, I woke up and I think I inhaled about 4 pounds of sand throughout the night. So there is that.
Wow. Well, I think we know what to do better next time. And something tells me.
Talk about foreign object debris.
On this island.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I think
Mr. Beast might be able to do something like
that. Knowing one Joey Leal, we might buy a second rocket and film air to air with Starship during the next launch. So who knows? We'll see. But pretty exciting stuff from down here.
No. Don't put ideas in his head.
Yeah, please don't. One of us is going to end up getting sentenced to be strapped to the rocket, man. It's going to be so over.
I won't speak for him, but I have a feeling that he will be sending everybody else and not himself on the next adventure after this one.
He says that every launch, and then he continues to do it. He's just a silly goose.
What a show. Hang on. Let me see that. Send me that. Send me that.
I'm terrified. Okay. Well, this has been quite a show.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
This has been pretty incredible for sure.
And oh, agreed.
Hold on.
Oh man,
thank you.
So see, what are we doing from here?
All right.
That is a very good question.
Emlyn, if you don't mind letting us know, we got anything else in the oven, so to speak?
Go update from the boss. Okay. Well, okay, let's just talk what we expect for the future of the program here to be and what the next couple months are going to look like.
Yeah. So, I think it's fair to say that things did not go as planned. I think it is a reasonable assumption that ship did not come down on target. Whether or not it left the hazard area is up in the air. I would be more inclined to say yes to no. That is a very it feels like an arbitrary distinction, but it is very important because it will determine whether or not how in depth their mishap investigation will have to be on the legal side. Obviously, as a company, they're going to want to find root cause to find out exactly what happened. But from like a legal FAA or like international perspective, if it left that hazard zone, they will have to do prove basically, what we know exactly why this happened. It will not happen again.
Yeah. Yeah. And specifically on the timeline side, this means definitely we're seeing another reflight of this profile. We're just the suborbital profile that we've got accustomed to. We're probably going to see another test of the payload door next flight.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's the exact same profile. We're just going to see a lot of mitigation probably, and then another reflight. Who knows? That might come sooner, that might come later. My bet's on sooner rather than later. If you remember some of the rumor mill that came around during the post-flight 8, it just said originally that they were going to scrap 35 and 36 before they just because they thought they were so unsalvageable. My guess is probably that they're still operating with a little bit of that mentality and are sending them closer to the expendability side. So I would guess that we probably see a reflight sooner rather than later, but who knows?
Yeah, I would get closer to 1 month than 2 again. I could see like a 45 to 50 day.
Yeah. SpaceX certainly does not like stopping.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that you got to give them props for is they do not slow down. I mean, post-flight 1, we were all, well, shit, they nuked the pad. And we saw another flight in, frankly, horrifyingly short period of time. For better or for worse, they had that pad turned around way faster than any of us expected, and I would expect a pretty similar situation here.
Yeah. Well, it appears that the director, of course, Quantify, is back and would like, of course, to make some statements.
You can't get rid of me forever. As much as you guys hate me and want to see me relegated forever, unfortunately, I persist. No, I mean, I just wanted to say, I'm slightly gutted, to be honest. 3 failures in a row is not a great look, but I mean, I'm sure there's data there that they can go through at the very least, and they got further this time. So it seems like those harmonic issues in the just before SECO were at least resolved a little bit better, and there was some kind of long-term issue with propulsion or leaking or whatever it was. I think there was some interesting behavior we observed when the flaps started fluctuating at an altitude of 160 kilometers odd. I'd be really interested to hear about more. Genuinely, I'd love to hear about why that actually happened, what kind of software logic there is for that. Though I suspect we may never hear about that. But no, I mean, it was good to hear. The footage we got is good. I've seen some great images, and there's one on our Twitter, so if you haven't already, please go ahead and have a look at our X page. There is a fantastic photo there that's awaiting you. And I think we've got someone else, I know we're just queuing people in left, right, and centre here, but we've got someone else who wants to join in. Sam, yet again, wants to chat to us just a little bit about that picture. So shall we bring him in?
Well, we're wrapping up here, but yeah, as Madge said, that photo, that's pretty special to have gotten. Extremely proud of everyone on the team. Literally could not have done this if anyone on our team wasn't all in. Even, obviously there are those who aren't on stream with us right now, and I can't even think of everybody's name because I'm wiped. But just thank you to all of you for all the help. Thanks to everyone who supported the project and got us to this point. Be on the lookout for, more Skyfall footage coming soon and more photos. And we keep trying to one up ourselves a little bit, but that was pretty unbelievable. So thanks, y'all.
Yeah, I don't know what the next project is going to look like.
Yeah, I can't imagine what is more insane than a deserted island in the middle of nowhere for a rocket that is not launching from said island. But
yeah,
I'm extremely grateful to have been a part of this, and for everyone on the team who got us to this point, and all the people who have supported us along the way.
Likewise.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, as much as we'd love to send everyone out to Bahamas every single time, all expenses paid, unfortunately our coffers are not infinitely deep, so who's to say what will happen? But there'll be lots of our traditional launch coverage coming on in the future, and maybe we'll dabble around the Indian Ocean as well. Time will only tell.
Just-
But it's been fantastic to have this team working with us. There's been a lot of planning that went into this. Getting people out to an island is not easy. We had our own private boat chartered, our own private aircraft chartered. We had loads of equipment to get out there, multiple failures that we had to fight and troubleshoot. A risk assessment straight out of the fifth circle of hell. That thing is massive. But we still got it. We still got it done. We still got it done. And thanks people who were on site, like Sam. We've got some fantastic photos and videos as well. So do keep an eye out on the X. We'll be publishing those as soon as we can.
Yeah, and like Madge said, you know, it is hard to get out here, but we also documented all of it. So if you're interested to see how a spaceflight company gets a film crew out to the middle of nowhere, I don't think you're going to find a better place than IGW. So.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty fantastic. We've got a dedicated video planned for this event and also a Starship episode that will go a bit more into detail about kind of the emotions that ran through it as well. That'll be well in the future. I have a lot of editing to do until we catch up to present day, but we will get there. Do keep an eye out. I think it's been fantastic having you, Sam. And I think I may have to give it back to the commentators for you guys to do your little chit chat.
We're getting ready to. We're getting ready to move our camp back, so please take it from me.
Might be wise.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Take care, Sam.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Oh, God, that looked bad. Don't clip that. Oh, God.
Anyway, so...
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we got through what we expect in the future. Shit. So 36 and future booster, a couple weeks to a month to 2 months.
Yeah. Booster 16 is next booster up. To my knowledge, either that or well, they might refly Booster 15 again. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I wouldn't claim to know.
Let's see.
Okay.
All right.
Well, Evelyn has the flight video queued up, the video of the flight, so we can go through some of the highlights, if we can. If you could actually get right to the moment where they start showing the engine bay camera, please, I would appreciate that. That should just be a little bit after staging. I think you can see the fire start to develop almost immediately. So
Mr. Lee Jones.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it appears we're getting we're gonna get pretty close to the start from here.
Right.
Might want to get a little. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah. It's a very on the fly thing. I don't think we expected to get this far.
No, I don't think we have had the capability to replay the flight like this before, so awesome, frankly.
Cool. That's new.
Now that's a transition. Good for her. All right, so this starting counting down here, booster did seem, I mean, nominal liftoff. I don't think anything particularly looked wrong here.
Yeah, I must say we were placing, I wouldn't say placing bets, but we were. I was going to go with 31 engines on liftoff, but they got all 33.
Yeah, surprisingly it was not the it wasn't the startup this time that was wrong. If anything, it was a startup that came later, which honestly is interesting. I'm wondering if the ice got it again.
It's not a thought I want to have.
It's not a thought we want to have, but it's a thought we must endure, mustn't we? This liftoff was just beautiful. Can't wait to see the footage that the team got from this. This is
I always love those engine shots. They're always incredible.
So pretty.
Yeah.
That
God.
Didn't really look like many regen leaks or anything on that. Seemed fairly consistent.
They nailed it.
Yeah.
They really did.
Yeah. Booster reflight, completely great. That was wow.
Oh God.
That was incredible.
Looks like we've got the official Flight 9.
Oof. Okay. Here. These I always like how they do this like flat cam shot as it's ascending. It's a good shot.
Yeah.
Very unique shot too. It's let's see. How do we keep going here?
It's not a shot that you can really get on any other rocket because you have those flaps sticking off the side. You can kind of get a wide shot of the whole vehicle.
Yeah, it's true. Certainly you couldn't really get it on. I mean, maybe you could get it if you stuck it onto the fairing, but like even then, not really.
Depends on your rocket.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It should be
kind of
coming
a
up
kind of a
on-
built-in selfie stick, honestly.
Yeah. Probably will be coming up on Bigo here in a couple seconds. I was not prepared just for how short the super heavy duration of the flight was. Maybe it's because like I'm too much like reflecting on, like the early 2 through 4 days when super heavy was just like, oh, is it gonna make it? But yeah, it was short. It felt short this time.
Yeah. And that is really the intention of Super Heavy, is to just get it through a good portion of ascent and then shove it on its way and come home as fast as possible. I mean,
Yeah, fast, quickly, and safely. This is a crucial part of the whole thing.
Ship ignition.
Alright.
Stage separation.
Alrighty. Well, then, then looks like they got their straight back boost back that they wanted. Seems like that was fairly on target. The boost back itself seemed good. We didn't have any engines out that whole boost back, which
I believe I saw 12 at one point, unless I'm losing it.
maybe. Yes, here's where interesting stuff. If you keep your eye on that top left section with that little vent, I believe that's where. No, sorry, it's that top right is where you can start seeing in the ship aft bay that certain little parts start.
There's a bit of a glow.
Yeah.
Which is right at the end of that regen loop on that RVAC.
Yes. Here's the booster coming in, doing its thing. Probably going to see successful HSR jet in a second here.
I don't know. I was so wrapped up in it. I don't know if we saw hostage rigging jettison, did we?
I think we. Oh, that would be interesting. That would make it even more like Flight 3. No, but I don't think it came in with the hot stage ring.
No, I don't think it came in with it. I don't know if we saw it on stream, the actual jettison.
Yeah. Certainly not from the camera view that they did with the previous ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never saw the hot stage come off, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, at some point when you start doing when launches aren't particularly common like this, you get these every couple months. When you do finally get a Starship launch, you kind of get tunnel vision. It's hard to pay attention to everything that's going on. But, God, it was a beautiful experience nonetheless.
Yeah. Let's
see. My heart rate is still about 10-20 points above what it normally sits at. So.
The booster doing its LOX dump that liquid oxygen.
So let's see. Here's where they started flicking away to the
ship camera.
Yeah, ship camera bits. Looks like we started getting some. What do you call that? Just glitching in the camera here.
Yeah.
And we're going to come up on booster explosion. This part isn't real. Oh, there you go. There you can see that. You can really start seeing that fire coming out now.
Yeah.
In the aft bay.
Having that aft camera is real.
Yes. Perhaps not the most what SpaceX wanted, but I think it's fairly conclusive that you can say that was related to the failures that came later in the flight. So, wonder what that was there for. I wonder if that was just a leak, an off-nominal leak.
But only one way to really prove it out, and that's to get real-world data.
There we go. Oh, yep, here we go. This is the part where the booster started.
Yeah. Booster 14 served valiantly.
Yes.
She served twice.
May it rest in pieces.
And we are going to
Let's
relay
see.
13 engines, then bring that down to 3 engines.
Good re-entry plasma.
That is a beautiful engine glow right there.
Yeah, that's something I'm gonna actually miss on Block 3, I think.
Yeah.
That glow.
To push the limits of the super heavy booster.
Almost looks like a big cigarette.
Yep.
Continuing to see
Oh wow.
6 healthy engines
Wow.
on
Oh, those arrow effects on the booster are crazy.
Yeah.
engines still ignited.
Aerodynamic effects, happy.
Yep. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so
explosion.
What I definitely noticed is that it exploded. There was a failure during engine startup that caused it to explode over the water. Just by looking at that alone, I've managed to figure that out.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's between that video from SpaceX and Joshua's description. I think it's fair to say that it exploded on ignition.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
something
definitely looks like it.
Yeah, something definitely got a little bit more toasty than it should have, and that
yes
led to what we saw. So the ship, at the moment anyway, on this replay is continuing on nominally, or as close to it as we could expect.
Well, nominally, quote unquote. The aft fires are still there, and the RBAC's starting to glow around this time.
Yeah, I should say we're doing a lot better than we have on previous flights.
Mm-hmm. Oh, SpaceX has canceled the update after, so perhaps.
I can't say I'm particularly surprised, but Elon Musk's presentation on the future of the program has been canceled. It was originally scheduled for before the flight, and that was pushed back to after.
Yes. All right. Coming up here on the ending part. Now, if I don't, could you pull up the original SpaceX flight timeline? Because I feel like engine cutoff happened a lot quicker. Yeah, you could start seeing that engine bell glow there.
Yeah, it was in the same place
That's
as before
orange.
as
That's
well.
not good. Yeah. It starts making me think it's not a quote-unquote bad batch or something like that.
Let's see.
Makes me think it's a repeat issue.
Yeah, definitely.
Seco was at keep us 8 minutes and 56 seconds.
And I believe it did not occur at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
it looks like they're
Yeah.
They're about, unless that stagger was before.
Yeah.
Let's see when the RCs shut off. If it shuts down at 8:56, I'll give it to him.
Yeah, it looks like it actually shut off at the nominal time.
Yeah, at least the RCs did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
But
there's
you can
that
see
huge
that glowing. Yeah. Ooh, that's not good.
Something started burning there.
Yeah, things were burning, and this is, I believe, where Starship begins to spin out of control. I wonder if it's from one of those RBACs, because you can clearly see that one of them is emitting more gas than the other.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's possible that's part of engine shell, if that was the one that they were planning to relight.
But I don't think that's coming from an RC. You can see them there. That doesn't particularly look like it's coming from an RC. It looks like it's coming from either a vent around there.
I try not to do what would be quote unquote armchair analysis live.
True. You could always be wrong.
Yeah, inevitably you end up making a fool of yourself.
Yes, don't take our analysis as serious. We are sitting in chairs in a living room. We're not professionals.
Yeah, I am sitting in my bedroom looking at videos of Starship going, yes, I'm sure me, a second-year aerospace engineer, could probably figure this out. No, I can't. Spoiler alert, I am not good enough.
You're built different. You could do it.
Potentially.
Yeah. And then after this, I suppose, the door failed. Not much of a surprise there, I'd say. If things were already going wrong enough in the aft cavity for it to start sparking, I wouldn't really expect the payload bay to be in the greatest condition.
Honestly, I'm somewhat surprised it didn't work. I mean, it is essentially just an electric actuator. It's not. It's just a linear. It's probably just a rail system. I wouldn't expect that to be something super difficult to iron out the problems that we saw on. It's like 3 or 4. I do not recall.
The thing I'm thinking is that, of course, if it is, I will refrain myself from doing any armchair engineering on stream because you know what they say about assuming, and frankly, I don't want to make a fool of myself at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we got to this re-entry section, which was
we things very quickly started looking what would be technically considered not great PM.
Yes.
Very quickly around this point. And we are about 30 minutes into today's flight. You could start to see that spin. That spin gets quicker and quicker. At the beginning, you could see those puffs of ullage gas were definitely trying to compensate. But they are really, as we learned on Flight 3, especially with blocked block thrusters, which we can't definitively say is what happened this time. It could be something very different. But those all-edge RCS thrusters are not particularly powerful, and there's only so much they can do to bring the ship back into control. So at some point, you get kind of a, like if you know what a PID loop is, at some point you start to amplify it rather than reduce the spin. And it does look like that's what's happening. You can see that gas cloud or plasma or whatever it is we're seeing going around faster and faster and faster.
The Starlink satellites are pretty robust to still maintaining
Oh,
contact.
here
We've
we
got
go.
4 of those terminals on the vehicle.
The reentry this time was something.
Yeah,
Oh,
I would
yeah.
say the best views of reentry we've gotten, whether or not
It's gonna still be dark until we get a little bit closer to entry, as we are a little bit
they were
coming up on Africa, I believe.
were successful,
Swing just to the south of that.
not a successful works anywhere.
Yeah.
With the exception of underground, I don't think it works underground. But
Yeah, I think you need to be able to see the sky for it. Honestly, I think they say that in the instructions.
Probably just read them.
Oh, boo! Everyone in the chat, Boomeranda, come on, that's a reference to a drone ship, and we don't like that. Okay, let's see. It really started to kick up and spinning around here. I wonder why it looked so. Like it was obviously spinning here, but the way it was spinning was very odd. Like 28, where it was spinning on one axis but stable in the other two.
It did look like it was kind of parallel to the Earth for a bit, so it's very possible that it was stable on 2 or 3 axes.
Yeah.
Hang on 1 second. Oh, surprise guest on the stream.
That is my dog.
Yeah.
The dog is now on the stream. Hi.
Yep.
Hi, buddy.
Yep.
Hi, buddy.
Rapid unscheduled guest. But...
Yep. All right, we'll put him back. Much like the engine fires, it's sudden and it makes a shocking difference.
Wow.
Unlike the engine fires, though, he's a great and lovely dog. Okay. Suppose we're just cruising for a while. Okay.
Little guy. Yep. He's very small.
So there's not
yeah,
much you can really. Oh wow!
It's here when I know I move in attempt to compensate, and this probably was not a control issue.
Yeah, that looks. I mean, frankly, it looks like it's just venting its own propellant into.
Yeah. Something Fazy mentioned in chat is that propellant dump. It is essentially venting propellant in a cloud around itself. It is surrounding itself in a cloud of its own making.
Yeah, pretty much.
Then another violent entry.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that was something. You can really start seeing the ship's flaps start warping here from the heat.
Yeah.
Yep. That metal kind of crinkles up. I've just gotten a text from Boca Chica Beaches. The beach is open.
Hey, if you're a party goer, feel free to go down there. I'm sure there'll be some.
I do know there's a tiki bar in the area that certain individuals frequent. So if you know what I'm talking about, have fun with that.
All right, that is. I think here we start seeing some really interesting stuff, which you can still see the propellant dump, but you can also see it just changing colors more and more. And pretty soon here, this starts fading into re-entry. So that's a very interesting dynamic between the propellant getting vented and then also the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right here. It starts to change.
I think the propellant cloud there is a lot more closer to reality, but you see it's kind of moving over to that plasma.
Mm-hmm.
Dear God.
Starts getting furious.
Yep. Yep. That air is not pretty. Starting to come into contact with some, and well, let's just say the air fight's back.
Yeah, that is personal atmosphere. I would not win. Much like Starship here, I think I would melt. Oh my God, that engine bay cam here was.
Yeah, that is the chef's kiss, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The different colors were very telling, but also very beautiful.
Yes, agreed. Man, just the fact it kept flashing here, all the colors.
I'm trying to think, we've gotten a relight twice, right?
Yeah, we've gotten a relight twice, I believe. Yeah, 30? No, I think 30 did it. Did
I'm honestly not sure.
Yeah, we might have only gotten it. No, I think 31 was the only time we've had an in-space burn.
Wow.
So hopefully we'll get that on the next one. But man, chucking starships at the atmosphere for fun.
Yeah, for fun and for profit.
Yeah. So the cutting out was. It's incredible that past this point, it kept going for another like 30 kilometers down. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
The fact that these things made out of stainless steel are this durable is something.
It's a testament to
Terrifying,
the engineering.
frankly.
Which is good. That is exactly what we.
Yeah, even the fact that like, even in a very I don't think off nominal even begins to describe how foobar this ship is at this point. It is still more or less in one piece, and it's still connected to a satellite constellation of more than 7,000 satellites. I should say connected to the constellation. Definitely was not connected to all of the satellites at once, but
yes. Much like we were during a large amount of this flight.
What'd you say?
I said much like we were during a large amount of this flight.
Yeah, I think it's also worth mentioning that IGW is quite literally powered by Starlink. Our views in both Texas and the Caribbean. It's really nice. It looks like that as now that they have excess capacity, for a time, whenever they would launch from Starbase, they would geofence out Starbase in an effort to direct all bandwidth to the vehicles. But for the last couple of flights, we've been able to connect to Starlink via in Boca Chica, so it hasn't been a problem recently. Which either they've dropped that geofence or they just have enough excess capacity to where it's no longer a problem. All right, and it looks like we're at the point in flight where we get NCCX, and that's about it.
Yes. We got a couple more flashes past this point. I think we just got to see that final shot of the aft flap dissolving was both incredible and ominous.
Yeah, I'm glad we got it, but dear God, that thing was toast.
Yes, cooked to pieces.
Oh, it was these shots of just the fuel burn
layer making an appearance. And by making an appearance, I mean well.
Yeah, that is the ablative layer is something else. I suppose they must have gotten some data on testing that heat shield.
So Starlink, when it's able to connect, able to feed
look at that.
We are at the phase where we would expect entry to start.
Yeah, and then it all starts coming apart.
So we are entering uncontrolled, but again, we're entering into an airspace and a sea space that is cleared and monitored in advance of launch and before we get to this phase.
And with the views that we are able to see, you are seeing a lot of that plasma build up. During re-entry, we do expect the vehicle to see about 1,400 degrees Celsius, and there you can see the flap feeling that temperature there.
Yep, there you go.
A little bit melting away.
All right, there's
little bit.
our host.
Yes.
That
spinning
is
of
what we
the
call
vehicle.
curtains.
You
Mm-hmm.
are no longer controlling the attitude of the vehicle. So
Wow.
this is now at this point in the test flight. It is expected to see it begin to demise a little bit on its way back down to Earth.
Yeah. And so
All right.
we'll stick with it for as long as
With that,
we're kind
I
of
think
we can start wrapping up.
Yeah, I think we'll start wrapping
Yeah.
up our stream tonight.
I don't think there's much more that needs to be said.
Yeah, yeah. Some incredible shots
It's re-entering.
of, I mean, Starship from the Bahamas. That was great.
Yeah.
I mean,
I cannot emphasize enough that what we've got so far, I mean, we do have access to Starlink, but we don't have full bandwidth, so to speak. Keeping very close eye on our socials because
we
pretty
will
much
have
immediately.
a lot more coming out.
Especially once we get our remote cameras back from Starbase, once we get that media opportunity to retrieve our cameras, we will have so much footage to dump on you guys. It will be raining footage. You will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Suppose that's gonna be mostly it for tonight. We've seen the whole flight. We will be continuing to update you guys across of our socials. Keep a lookout on the channel. Keep a lookout on that merch store, baby. interstellargateway.com and shop.interstellargateway.com specifically, and shop.igw.llc if you like link shorteners. Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks you guys
so
for
much.
sticking through us. I think you can tell we're kind of starting to
Oh, yeah,
peter
we're
out here.
cooked. We're
Yeah.
cooked. Brain melted.
Oh, absolutely.
Much like Ship 35's flaps.
What? Yeah. Yeah. I think our brains might be a little bit more cooked than that even.
Molten slag.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Suppose we're just going to be waiting here for Emlyn. But thank you guys.
Let Leviathan in chat. Bye, y'all. Thanks for covering the launch. Thanks for sticking through this.
Yeah, it's been an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't thank us. Thank the rest of the team.
Yeah.
Like they put in a lot more blood, sweat, and tears here.
Absolutely.
We were just kind of along for the ride.
To quote a couple individuals here. This is insane. I can't believe we got to see this in our lifetimes.
That's sentiments I can agree with.
Yeah.
What the hell? Well, suppose we're just waiting at this point. So if you've ever had anything you wanted to confess in your life, say it in the live chat now.
Yeah.
Just kidding, don't do that.
Yeah, do not confess to murder in the Interstellar Gateway live chat.
Yeah, no. All right. Thank you all. We'll see you later.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, can't wait to join you guys for Flight 10.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.